Yeah, hanging in there. Hello, hello, hello.
Repurposed freighter drifts through space. As you stare out at the star-flecked void, another ship comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign. Oh, did we? That's cool. I can pivot.
Everyone's
the
doing
smell
well.
of smoke curdles in your nostrils. Hold up, I thought we were prepping for a zombie apocalypse campaign.
It looks good.
All right, here's what we're doing. It's the year 3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of advanced technology. Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. And amidst the chaos, three strangers will meet in a dim bar. A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge, and a space mercenary sent to investigate the power plants. Now describe your characters. How did you do that?
Hello.
I have the right tools for the job.
Is it just you and me? No.
No.
Exactly. Well, we have to do our best just in case. Yeah.
No, you already talked to Eric. Eric will be on.
Oh, good.
Eric and Gary and Mike. So. Okay. Good.
A story once spoken is ageless.
It's starting to get
The
a lot more submissions in now.
Without end.
So I'm pushing.
Oh, good.
The curious are the
I just got an email. I realized that I forgot to submit things for Game Hall Con, so I need to do that.
By the way, I changed. I made your thing Friday night an hour earlier, 6 Eastern instead of 7.
Okay,
Carlos
good.
came to 8, so we'll go right into Carlos. I didn't want to cross over with him. There was no need.
Yeah.
And so 6 to 8 for us Eastern Friday. So we'll tweak the schedule. What's up, Gary? Hey.
Hello.
Coming on early to test the audio.
Yep,
No, you're
good.
not early. You're perfect. Yep.
Eric is going to make it, right?
Yep. He was a little perturbed. He was stuck in a meeting at work about an hour and a half ago. He said he'll be there. He'll be here.
Well, that's a good sign when he reach out and say he's stuck.
Yeah,
that
he
means that he remembers and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's great. Yeah.
100%.
Oh my God, it's so much nicer when you mute Twitch.
Yes, isn't it? You just get some
Oh
nice
yeah, you have to
back
have
and
the
forth discussion.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
God,
I just
what are these Gamescape 3D models cost?
Well, the STLs are. He doesn't sell them. He sells STLs, right? So like all that stuff, like that's going in the that last picture was going in the publication with Luke. Yeah, a lot of stuff. I mean, most of my stuff on my table is Gamescape, so yeah.
Are you saying some of this stuff is just for demonstration? And
No, all of it. He sells it all in STL files, and you print them out with a 3D printer.
Oh, you got to print them out.
Oh
okay.
yeah. Yeah. He's not a seller. No,
No,
there's
so
some,
depends on-
STL files are not that expensive, I think. But
no, they're
yeah.
no, like a compilation for each of them would be like
Mhm.
$50.
Okay.
But you got to
full
use
set.
a lot of the media. Whatever
What's
they
that?
call the what do they call the stuff
Oh,
you
yeah.
put in the 3D printer?
Oh, yeah, the
Spool,
various-
Oh yeah,
yeah.
PLA. Yeah, a lot of this. Yeah, like that.
Resin
That
and
building
PLA
right
and-
there, I just used. I just got that building. It was just on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that-
because he sends you a lot of stuff
Yeah,
pre-printed, right?
Right. Yeah. Or Bill paints it up then. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we get a lot of stuff. He'll send to us, but like if you wanted to buy something in the community, like for example, oh my gosh, my brain shut off. Oh my gosh. Guy retired. It was the prison guard. Someone help me here. My brain's off. He was at he was at Page last year. Had a booth at Page.
Oh, yeah.
Mike
Now
Saxton.
I
Mike
exactly Saxton.
You can
Yes.
buy this stuff
yeah.
through Mike
Mhm.
Saxton. Michael, yeah, for example.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Retro gamer. Yeah.
yeah, but you get that, yeah. But the shipping's the killer. Because they're so huge. The shipping is so yeah, that's the most expensive thing is the shipping. So Mike,
Sam Wise and I were thinking of doing a virtual Greyhawk Con seminar that was going to be like 2 hours with 2 editors and 2 journalists. You know, if anybody wants, advice or help, or just spitball some ideas, we could sit there for 2 hours and just talk about it.
Good one. Yep.
got a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming up, so it's going to be great. Yep.
Oh, should we
Sounds like
invite
a regular Saturday night to me.
Should we invite the Orphan member?
What's that?
Yeah, that might be.
Ooh.
Mhm. You never know. Yep.
Right.
Are you going to still do the joust this year?
Oh yeah. I was gonna not do it last year, and then I had a couple people really give me shit about it, and then I did it. So yeah, I'm doing it again this year. Yep. Yes, I am.
That's tradition now. You have
Tradition. I always try and change it up a little bit with a little nuance. So we'll do that again. Figure it out. Yep. Saturday night. It'll be fun. All right.
There were some good questions in Canfar Discord. And it took
Yeah, I
some
saw
minutes.
that. I was didn't have much time to peruse it, but I saw some, so it's good. Time
Oh, I
seven
didn't,
yet.
I didn't show you guys my video.
What's that?
Hold on a sec. Let's see if this works. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Good
It's
job.
my tribute to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah,
Those C60, I remember. I've forgotten those C60, C90.
Oh my god, do you remember those, Anna?
Yeah,
remember-
I forgot about them, but now when I see C60, C90, C45, or whatever it was, now I remember that.
I love the
Did
one
you
Did you ever
sheet
have to
metal
use
one.
those?
They were-
Did you ever have to use those as data for a computer?
Oh yeah.
I
No,
did.
not really me, but I
Vic
had
20.
friends and a brother who had they had a VIC 20 and VIC 64 or Commodore 64, but I never had one. I went straight to Amiga, so I didn't have to. But I saw it. I was around it a lot, so to speak, when
Talking
Mhm.
about
when they
taking
had those.
forever to load.
Did
Yeah.
you ever have the 5 1/4 floppies?
Oh yeah.
The,
Mhm.
the black floppies?
I had that
Yeah.
on my first PC, but not on the Amiga. Had 3.5. So yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Rascal.
I had a friend at MIT who did her thesis still with punch cards.
Oh,
Oh my
wow. Yeah,
gosh.
I've seen those. I've seen
Yeah.
the
Punch
computer
cards. I can't even imagine.
old mainframes with punch
Could you imagine?
cards.
Could you imagine Jay dropping them and not having them
No.
out or anything?
Well, they would like hundreds of kilos
Yeah.
that you went from an archive, and they had to be sorted
I
right
never
and
got
then
those.
put in. Yeah, I saw that in the Swedish government and stuff had. They would have not in use, but they were still there, so to speak. So they could be technically be fired up and used. So I
Let's go
saw
hype
them.
already.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hope everyone's doing well.
Jay, you could even, I don't know how much you did to this yourself, but we could even have a show just about the early PC gaming, you know,
Mhm.
the
Yeah, yeah.
early fantasy gaming.
I kind of
All D&D games and the
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah.
kind of did
Mhm.
one on the side a little bit, but yeah, but like
Yeah,
you
you
know, now that I
had you
have,
talked about.
I mean, I got my son's got for Christmas last year. I got him a Commodore 64.
No, he had like an 80s whole room. Cool, super cool. I was
Yeah.
jealous.
Multiple gold box games, all the
I
Bard's
was
Tale
jealous
games.
of your son's room
Me-
was
the
every
original
80s
Battletech.
kid's
Yeah.
dream. Yeah. Mhm,
Yeah.
come
Thanks,
true.
Did he-
Armin.
But Anna, did he have a Farrah Fawcett poster?
That's a 70s.
I'm not
That's
sure about that
70s.
part. No, well, that's probably 80s too. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, Charlie's
But-
Angel, maybe.
Cannonball Run and stuff. So yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Cannonball
Cannonball Run.
Run.
Oh my God.
Ah, that's funny.
Yeah. Mhm. That was a
Oh my
good movie.
God.
I like that movie. It was fun.
There
Yeah.
were 3 of them.
It was
Anna.
silly. Yeah, but the first one is the only real one. Yeah.
Ugh,
All the celebrity cameos.
Yeah.
that's
mhm.
like saying the first Death Stalker is better than Death Stalker 2 and 3, Anna.
I have
They're
no
all
idea
just
about the
equally
Death
bad.
Stalkers. Yeah.
Thanks, there, Armin. I'm trying to push everyone. By the way, we're waiting for Erik Mona. We got Gary Holian on and Mike and Anna for this discussion. So let's just
Greyhawk Mike.
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Let's just go here as we're getting events. We need registrations now because of all the events that are coming in. So events schedule. Let me do this and let me go to 100 just or 80 or whatever. It doesn't matter. But man, we're starting to fill up with a lot of good events. So yeah, things are coming. Here comes Erik. Here comes Erik. I'll put. There he is. There he is.
Awesome.
What's up?
What's going on?
Welcome. Thank you for
Hey,
coming.
hey. I don't have headphones on right now. Is my audio okay?
We
Yep,
don't have a
it's
reverb.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're
sounds
good.
good.
You're
Sounds
good.
good
All right.
here.
We get a reverb, we'll let you know, and the audience will let me know immediately. They go,
Yep.
I imagine
sound
so.
sucks. Yeah, we'll hear that. But we are
Yep.
streaming in high res, so we are part of that
Yeah,
test. So we're streaming.
Yeah,
It's
Jay is
beautiful to
right.
see Gary's face in such detail. And
Yes.
it's
Exactly.
Spinning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the eyes are spinning and stuff.
nice.
Just saw it was 80s vibes here with the C60. I forgot about
Yeah.
Oh,
those.
thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dan. By the way, all right. So a quick announcement: Virtual GrowdCon. The sign-ups start noon Saturday for events. Okay. I will be running a game from 9 in the morning to like 12:31. I will stop what I'm doing on my laptop and I will open them up. All right. So just remind me if you're watching and like put the games up. So yes. So that'll be Saturdays. The games will go in. We're getting more and more signups coming up. I'm getting all the holes filled and all the stream content going. So we're good here. Lots and lots of events coming in. A lot of the classics. I'm doing the joust like usual. Carlos has got games in. Anna's got 3 games in plus
Yep,
a seminar.
Yep.
Yeah. Yoav Neve's got
3.
his Isle of the Sunken Mage in. We got and Dickarus has got a game in. Les has got 2 games in. Alan Grohe just said on Discord he was going to put some stuff in. There's a lot. Lando. There's a lot of people with games in. June Solar's got a game. So just note, Controller Games. So we're good. All right. All right. Now to the real discussion. Yes. All right. Erik and Gary, thanks for coming on today. This will be a fun discussion.
Of course.
I know this is exciting, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
I've never done a deep dive on this.
Is that right?
No.
Yeah, we talked about it in many times, and you talked about it a bit, Erik, when you've been on too. But we haven't had a show dedicated to what I think is the pinnacle of Greyhawk publication. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, Anna. Thank you.
Well, I really think that's been my view since it came out. Yeah, and it hasn't been beaten yet. Yeah.
I thought we were waiting for Fred's RSVP to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show up.
Yeah.
We could have invited some other people, but I think this is enough of a panel. We could have invited Sean. You know,
Oh, Eric and I wrote most of the good stuff anyway.
yes,
Mhm.
Oh,
exactly.
I don't know about that, but
So I want to start off with this question because Gary, last week we did a deep dive into this, Ann Brown's Player's Guide. Now,
Yeah.
Gary
yeah.
said that when these two publications were coming out, Eric, you were already working on the Gazetteer.
This is they're published in 98. So yeah, so
Yes,
what's the backstory? How leading up
you're
and
right. Exactly.
are these publications that were parallel in time almost, or are they what the connect? Meaning, what was the environment when it was conceived, so to
Yes.
speak? Yeah.
Well, it was all part of the sort of what at the time was called like the Greyhawk 98 sort of push. And
Yeah.
that definitely included the Player's Guide and The Adventure Begins and like Crypt of Lysandra the Mad and Star Cairns. And there's one other adventure, Jake. What's the third one?
It's called Suck It.
The
The
Doom
Doom
Grinder. Yeah. And so
Grinder.
all of those things and a handful of like novels and things were all part of that Greyhawk resurgence that was happening right in the
Right.
lead up to third edition
Yeah.
D&D.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Eric, do you remember if we had copies of those books in our hands yet?
well, I was a continuity consultant on those books, so I definitely
Okay, so you had
Mhm.
access to
of
them.
them. Yeah. And I suspect all of us did. And yeah, and this, we'll get into it, I'm sure, but the book that eventually became the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer was originally conceived, I think, to be the big hardcover kind of payoff of all of that Greyhawk
Mhm.
98 stuff that Roger Moore was going to write. And a few of us, Steve Wilson, Tamerlane from the AOL boards, who had been a editor of the Orth Journal. In fact, I became the editor after he was. I think he did issues 1 and 2, and I think I jumped in middle of
Big
2 and
Bones.
7 or something like that. And so he and I were hired to write some material for that hardcover book, and then that just sort of changed and morphed into what became the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, and we brought in Gary and Fred and Sean Reynolds. And I was working at Wizards at the time, but I wasn't when we started. So it was all, I don't know, man. I'm getting everything's getting confused and
That's
muddled
all
up.
right. It's
Yeah.
25 years
Uh,
ago.
I'd
I
like
know.
to
Can you believe it? I
Yeah.
was a bright-faced little 25-year-old boy, writing for
question.
Greyhawk. Yeah.
So all the stuff that came out around that era ended up being soft cover though. So when you say hardback, like how was that even a reality when none of it was hardback?
I think it's important to understand the degree to which Lisa Stevens was a driver of a lot of this material. Lisa was famously employee number 1 at Wizards of the Coast, and owns Paizo to this day. And she had been a big Greyhawk fan, and she was working at Wizards when TSR was acquired. And so she was one of the people who was sort of an established WotC person building connectivity between the TSR designers and things who had come from Lake Geneva. And so one of her jobs was to be in charge of the Greyhawk line. And so she was really powerful politically because she was part of the Wizards side of things,
Mhm.
and she I think made Greyhawk 98 happen out of sheer willpower more than anything else. And what I came to appreciate, maybe appreciate is a challenging word to use, but what came clear to me, I got hired in like August of 99 to come join Wizards. I had been a continuity consultant for the previous 2 years, maybe. Had been involved with the RPGA network for the previous 5 years or so. And so I got in there, and I was being introduced around to a lot of the people at the company, and it was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm at Polyhedron magazine, and I'm the global publications coordinator for the RPGA network," which is a very fancy way to say
Yeah.
it. Um, and I said, "Oh, and I'm working on the new Greyhawk book and the new Greyhawk hardcover, maybe." And like, no one knew what I was talking about. It was like, what? And so I think that the hardcover existed because Lisa wanted it to exist, but I'm not sure that very many other people in the department fully understood that it was happening. So that was interesting, sort of glimpse into the dynamic of that early kind of Wizards TSR. It
Yeah.
was still all sort of gelling at that point in time. But by the time I got hired, it was pretty much an academic point because Roger Moore was supposed to write the book, and for whatever reason, he didn't. The manuscript that was eventually turned over, I think it had, and Gary, you might remember, but I think it had like a really almost hyper detailed description of like the Vesve forest or something, one of the forests. And then
I do recall
everything
that it
else.
had dummied in most of the stat blocks for the
It did.
countries.
So it had like
Yeah.
the names of the countries, the names of the rulers, what percent were elves and all that kind of stuff. Like if you look at the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, kind of the top line information, like the resources and the coinage and a lot of that had been, if not finalized, at least sort of dummied in, like, oh, and this is where this goes. And so it felt like essentially like a blank workbook that had headers and top line information about all the countries, and then had just like absurd detail about this one forest and nothing else. And I don't, it'd be interesting someday to figure out what happened there, but nonetheless, um,
Now I need to look
they
at
sort
that
of
chapter in
panicked
particular. Yeah.
and they were like, well, we need to get this book done because the idea was to do a book to support the Living Greyhawk campaign, which was another reason I think I got hired, was to help launch that because I've been
Eric,
really active in the
was
Living
that
City campaign.
was that always clear from the beginning that it was going to be a Living
No,
Greyhawk product?
I don't know. I don't think Roger's original hardcover was meant to be Living Greyhawk, but I think
Mhm.
what happened was it sort of went into a limbo for a year or so. And it just so happened that the year that it was in that limbo was the year that they were kind of clearing the deck for third edition, where they sort of canceled Ravenloft and they canceled Planescape and they canceled Birthright and Dragonlance was sort of hanging on by a thread and so I think things changed substantially with the planning that had to do with, the WotC acquisition and how that was going to roll into third edition. And so I think it was like, well, now the idea is we're going to have Greyhawk be the setting for the RPGA and it's going to, it's the core setting. So of course the core campaign is going to be set in the core setting, and thus we're going to need a book for what that setting is because there was not really even the adventure begins in the player's guides. They weren't really setting books; they were like guides to the setting. You kind of almost, in my opinion, sort of needed the 83 box set even still to make sense, or I guess From the Ashes, to make
Yeah.
sense. And From the Ashes was 8 years old or something at that point as well. And so yeah, I think it just was kind of like, oh, well, we've got the skeleton of this manuscript. Let's turn that into the book. And
Right.
we've hired this guy, Eric, who knows his stuff when it comes to Greyhawk and who was already writing chapters of this book. Now, ironically, the stuff that they hired me and Steve to write for that book never made it into the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. I think I published some of it in the journal, maybe,
Really?
but
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it was like places of mystery and
Hmm.
stuff. In fact,
Artif-
yeah, because
Artifacts and
I've got
relics,
the
I think.
Yeah.
cover of Living Greyhawk Journal #1 is sitting right here on my wall, and that is illustrative of a scene that was, I think, originally written for that hardcover book. So anyway, this is all very convoluted, but that's
No.
that's the origin. Is I think that this
Hmm.
manuscript that was meant to be kind of a capstone of that Greyhawk 98 thing instead became, I guess the beginning of the whole Living Greyhawk publishing effort. And by that, I mean all the scenarios, some of the
Yeah.
a couple of adventures and things. So it bridged those two eras, but it was definitely born, at least in outline form, in the Greyhawk 98 era, but it ended up kind of becoming its
Okay.
own.
Interesting.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
And we can get into this down the road a little bit, but I felt like if we knew the true purpose of it. We might have attacked it a little bit differently.
Oh,
Maybe
interesting. Yeah.
not have indulged so much history, but also laid a little more hooks and created more plots in it. But we can talk about that, I guess.
But in that sense, I'm glad that you did what you did, that it kind of a very really emphasize the setting thing and history and stuff, because that's the thing that rarely gets published in other stuff. So in other
Well, and I had
publications.
Gary and I had Fred and I
Yeah.
had me, and it, there you probably maybe find three other people that were that wonky at that time, to do a project like this. And
Yeah.
so
We
there was an element where it's like, well, gates open, we might as well try to do the version that
Yeah.
that this crew would be the best at doing. And on top of that, Sean Reynolds was kind of brought in. I knew Sean through the TSR online section of AOL. He was kind of the coordinator there of all the volunteer guys, and I was briefly TSRO Big B. I was like a mod on AOL for like a hot second,
Nice.
and got to know Sean through that. And Sean had also, I knew him then because he was writing for Greyhawk 98, and they flew me out a couple of times to, like, creative summits and stuff to plan products or what have you. And so I got to know Sean fairly well. And Sean was brought on because he already been very interested in the gods for some reason. I can't remember exactly why. But then he was like our rules guy, because there really are no rules in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer other than maybe some domains for the clerics. But even domains, like Fred and Gary and I were like, what is that? Like, we didn't know third edition by any stretch. I
we got
rapidly
draft.
when I got there, but like it was still being written when we wrote the Living
Yeah, we
Greyhawk.
got draft rules that were almost too late to really
Yeah.
incorporate.
So there was never going to be rules really in that book, but I think having Sean on board as kind of a member of the R&D team, I was at Wizards, but I was like in the RPGA, which was like appended to the designers, but wasn't necessarily, in the inner circle. And Sean kind of was in the inner circle. So I think it gave us the relief that someone who actually knew the game was involved in this. Of course, we knew second and first edition, but third was just still being
It's
written.
actually tacked on at the last page here.
Yeah.
The point buy system.
Yeah, the character creation guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, way in the
Yeah,
back.
and I'm sure he helped a lot with that as well. And then just the domains, literally that's the rules, is the
What-
domains
Wasn't
and the
he writing
weapons.
Slavers and Scarlet Brotherhood
Yeah,
at
he
this
had
time
done.
too?
Yep, and that may have been part of it, is he'd already kind of
Yeah.
delved into like the Sewell Pantheon and stuff
Right.
like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember that, we did not have a tremendously long period of time to work on this project. And that was another reason why dividing it up among 4 writers was advantageous, because I don't think any one of us could have done it in the time allotted, especially not with all the research and the double checking of each other's work. We were passing back and forth every day. It was pretty fun. In retrospect.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, if I didn't have an editor yelling at me to turn in my drafts, I don't think I would have done it on time.
And that's the true hero of this, is the person who coordinated the entire book.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So here we go.
And if I recall correctly, that was the spring and summer of '98 that we were doing that work.
Yeah, that's not, it would have to have been, because the book came out, I think in 99.
I think it was 2000, but
Says
Or
it was
maybe.
they held on to it for a while.
Yeah, it was sort of hostage for a short period of time.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Look at
Oh, you have 3 of them?
he's
Collect
got a
them
whole
all.
bunch.
Oh, you
Yeah.
muted.
Three.
Yeah.
Three.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, I only have 1, but it's still in good condition. I wrapped
Wait,
it in
Mike.
plastic and
My,
stuff.
I'm waiting for them to become valuable, because I have like 3 cases.
My
of-
map is still connected on the inside here.
Do you
Those
have
mine.
do you have the French one or the Japanese one there?
I've
Mike?
got the
No,
French one.
no,
I do
no.
have the French one downstairs.
Didn't even know
Oh,
they had
they were
those.
translated to French and Japanese.
Yeah,
And
I don't know about Japanese, but yeah.
2
Oh, look at that.
signatures.
Oh, look at those
signatures.
signatures. Woohoo!
2.
yeah.
Getting there. So, all right. First question is, I hate to do this. Is this the first reiteration of Bald Mordenkainen?
No, that had been already established. So that
Okay. Okay.
So that Mordenkainen, I can tell the whole secret history of that as well.
Yes.
So one
Ooh.
of the cool things about working at Wizards at that time was they had a kind of distant room off to the side of the building with big tall ceilings, and that's where all the artists and cartographers sat. They still had staff artists. You know, Brahm was on staff at the time. Let's see who else.
Wayne
Sam Lewis.
Reynolds.
No, Wayne
No.
Wayne did not even freelance for them yet at this point. But it was like Todd Gamble, Rob Lazzaretti as were cartographers. And I think I said Brahm. There's a handful of people, and they all had offices back there. And I used to go chat with those guys, you know, because I just want to like peek in while they're painting covers of D&D books. That was so exciting to get to see. And Todd Lockwood was there, and he was painting this beautiful color with like a science fiction warrior woman with a rifle and like somebody else, and then there's like this cool bald wizard guy standing in the center of it, and it was for a product called TSR Jam. And the idea there was, I believe, that they kind of just had different writers on the staff
Okay.
put together a short adventure in each of the campaign settings that they had at the time. And I want to say that maybe the money went to charity, or I'm not exactly sure that part of it, but it was kind of this like, hey, everybody, you write the Greyhawk one, and you write the Forgotten Realms, and you write Ravenloft, and you write Planescape, and you write Alternity, which is where that sort of sci-fi woman was from. And I said to Todd, who's that character in the center of that thing? Because he looks like he's dressed like Mordenkainen. And he's like, yeah, it's Mordenkainen. And I'm like, but he is
What?
bald. And Todd was basically like, yeah, dude, it's 1999. Like, page boy haircut is not gonna fly. And besides, I thought it'd
Oh.
be cool if I made him look like Fred Fields. So the art Fields, who I think had maybe just left Wizards or maybe never came over, but had been with Todd at TSR, like they wanted to kind of paint him into the picture. So Bald Morning Canaan is patterned off of the artist Fred Fields, and it's because Todd Lockwood was painting that cover for TSR Jam
Oh.
and
Oh.
didn't really like Morning
I
Canaan's
respect Todd
1980s
Lockwood's
haircut.
choices there.
Yeah, I
Well,
think he looks cool in this.
But he had to
Yeah.
know that he just changed canon because of that.
I don't think he cared at all about canon. And in fact, nobody at Wizards cared about canon at all. I sort of famously, I think I've told this story before,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I got myself in trouble, you know, trying to be helpful and being like, no, Hyronius's weapon is the battle
Oh,
axe. And
don't.
people were
Anna
just
and I
like,
fight about
shut
that
up.
every week.
Oh
Yeah.
Still
yeah,
to this day.
no,
Yeah.
I read I kind
Glory
of find
axe.
I find a reason why I think I
Oh,
like because I tried to make lemonade out of lemons, so I found a
oh.
reason that I think fits my idea why they changed from battle axe to
I mean, the
longsword.
real reason, of course, was that they wanted Hyronius to be the default god choice of paladins, and they
Yeah,
thought the default paladin has a sword. It's the
yeah,
holy avenger, you know?
yep,
And
yep,
so that was an interesting transition for me to be like, at least sort of one of the secondary reasons I was hired was because of my Greyhawk expertise. But they weren't trying to publish, I mean, until, you know, we came along, but they weren't really trying to publish like the definitive super fans guide to Greyhawk. And many of them really just treated Greyhawk as like had all the depth of like a Bazooka Joe cartoon, you know, on the wrapping of a piece of gum. And it was just a handful of names to throw in there. And I think that was, you know, a lot of people on the R&D side really just wanted it to be kind of a backdrop and not really a setting per se. And there was a lot of hurt feelings at that time too, because like I said, they just had canceled Planescape. They just had canceled Ravenloft.
yeah,
They just had canceled everything but Forgotten Realms and Dragonlance. And I think that the idea that Greyhawk, which was always sort of this little side thing for most of that, you know, many of them didn't go back all the way to the 80s or whatever. So I think the idea that Greyhawk had sort of survived in some fashion when all these like much better established and much more popular, you know, allegedly campaign settings had to go to the wayside. I think that ruffled some people as well. So I think the
Yeah.
idea of like, well, maybe Greyhawk's not even really a campaign setting and it's just like a sketch, and then I don't have to feel so bad about my campaign setting being canceled because at least it's not being replaced by anything real. It's just being replaced by the core setting, so to speak.
Okay.
I think I've told stories on here before, though.
Oh
So
yeah.
That's okay.
we gotta do some new stuff.
To comment on the cover again, though, real quick, and talking about artists. So that cover for the LGG is done by William O'Connor.
That's
I
right.
was doing some research today, and apparently William O'Connor died in 2018.
Oh, I think I might have heard that. Yeah, that's too bad. That's too
I
bad.
don't know how well known he was in like
He did a
D&D
nice
art,
he
but-
did a nice job with this cover. And the cover is actually also a kind of a milestone lesson for me because the original cover art order was way too involved. It was like insanely detailed. It was like Morden Kanan is posing over a chessboard, and on the chessboard are like Ombi and Keek, and not really, but like just tons of characters, and it turned out to not be that. And what it turned out instead, at the advice of the art director, was like, let's have Morden Kanan, one of his dragons next to him, and then let's take a couple of these characters and put them kind of in the sky in the backdrop. And so it's kind of
you
hard to
can't
tell.
even tell what they are.
You can't tell what they are, but it's supposed to be Lord Robilar on the left fighting a Catabaline demon from the cover of Saga.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
But it's really hard to tell because of the way the typography went. So that was a really like a good lesson for young Erik in like trust the artists. So like if you I might if there's a down moment, I may go to my files and see if I can find the original
Wow.
art order because it was insane. It'd be hilarious to read today. And then you fast forward a few years later when we were doing the first edition Pathfinder cover art order with Rain Reynolds, and we trusted him so much we literally said Valeros and Sione fight a red dragon in a dungeon, paint it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so I learned a little bit about not kind of trying to dictate composition so much and trust the artist to kind of nail some of that stuff. But that was an early lesson for me for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But the result, nonetheless, it's a really good cover art for the book. I
Yeah,
love
it worked out. It
Yeah.
worked out.
Mhm.
Sounds from the credits here, Roger Moore was involved in this. Says editing. So Roger did some editing.
Yeah, Roger did some editing on the book, which was an interesting experience. First of all, what an honor to be edited by one of the most famous and highest regarded dragon editors. And I'd had a lot of good relations with Roger in that Greyhawk 98 era. Yeah, he did a nice job with editing it. There were a few puzzling choices. I remember we'd say stuff like, Gary, I don't know if you remember this, but there was some forest or something, and we're like, oh yeah, people say that a lost regiment of the Great Kingdom of Erides army was lost, in this forest in the swamps, and that ghostly apparitions of them sometimes appear, on special days or whatever. And then he would add sentences like, but almost no one believes this. It's like, wait, what? That's an adventure hook, man. You're undercutting my. Hey, I think we were talking about Blackmore, and it was like
Nice.
unstable volcanic, spouts or something from the ground, and he changed it to stable lava
Some
pools.
nice.
And it was just like it was a weird sort of demystification of some of our
So,
stuff. But I don't
what
know.
play?
I think
Okay, Gary. Go ahead.
I think the effect it was that he was trying to remove the unreliable narrator and make it a little more straightforward.
Probably.
I think that took some of the character out of it. But,
Yeah.
But he also had to make it shorter because we, of course, were long.
I'm sure we overwrote it tremendously. Yeah.
What play testing took place for this? That's what there's a whole bunch of play testers.
Did you?
Play test Gazetteer.
I don't even
You
know.
don't
what
need
that is.
to.
We
Yeah.
had what?
I was wondering about that too.
We had 4 or 5 years of debate on Grey Talk and AOL.
Yeah.
So,
So
it was
that was
debating.
it
wasn't
it
play
was
testing.
pre
It was debating.
it was pre-play test, pre-tested before it was written, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just wanna,
I mean, Erik didn't choose Fred and I at random. I assume he liked the take that we expressed.
We had
those.
already been sort of collaborating on
Yeah.
and projects and stuff, and then we were constantly trading files back and forth and riffing off of each other, and it was
okay.
it was a very creative period.
Yeah, at this point, what you'd already put out a couple of issues of the Orth
Yeah.
Journal, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one question on the first chapter that I'm kind of interesting
Okay.
that came this time, and that was the way you divided up the Flannies into regions, or the world of Greyhawk into
Oh
regions. That
yeah.
was something that happened, appeared both in the player's guide and in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer.
Yeah, yeah.
Whose idea and who came? Because I think that was a really good way, a great way to make it bite-sized chunks to understand, so to speak. And I like the way to do it, because earlier those divisions weren't really, Greyhawk wasn't described that way before this era, so to speak.
If you say that that predated the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, it was probably
Yeah,
I
it's in the player's guide.
maybe
That's
it
where
could have been
came
even
out first.
Kidge Johnson, who was an editor at the time, and
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't be surprised if she was involved in that breakdown.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
claim.
No, but I think it's a great way to make it into, and whoever divided into it seems to know a thing or two about Greyhawk, because
Yeah.
it really ties into its story and the geography and the politics of the setting. So
Yep.
it makes it a lot easier to digest.
The people were really trying hard. You know, that Greyhawk
Yeah.
90 era, like everybody was really trying to do the best that they possibly could.
Yep.
From Sean to management, you know, Lisa to Roger with like Return of the Eight and stuff like that. I think there were some writers at Wizards who and TSR before that who saw the passion, particularly on the AOL forums that they were participating in for Greyhawk, and I think that they were excited to be, you know, in the mix in that conversation, and I think that they felt like it really was incumbent upon them to do a credible job, and they all really put in a ton of effort for sure.
Two quick
Awesome.
questions from the audience. I think the first one was about why there were no web resources for this book. I think you didn't start that till 2004, correct? Doing web enhancements for Dragon and Dungeon.
guys, it was 1998.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it was
I
around then.
mean,
Right, yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah, there was not a lot. Now there were,
that's what I
by the
thought.
time third edition came out, they did start doing some
Right,
web
it's pre that.
stuff, but I think this book predated. Certainly, the writing of this book predated
Right,
a lot.
and it just wasn't being done yet. And then
Well,
Patrick just asked, was there ever a plan for a second book? My guess is no.
Jennifer wouldn't exist for 3 more years, and people weren't using PDFs yet because
Yeah,
Right,
PDFs didn't even really, I think, exist.
I think the Orth journals were an RTF.
They
The
were.
original.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were, they were very basic, very almost primitive. Yeah. So
But one of the issues there is that those web enhancements were material that Erik thought, he would be able to publish later, and he did.
yeah, and a lot of it was pictures and stuff to help DMs during adventures instead of photocopying them out of your magazine, right? A lot of the maps and
What are
stuff.
you talking about, like when the Paizo ones, like for the adventure
during
paths?
Paizo, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
That's
I
when it
mean, but
really
that
started.
we're talking years
Yeah,
later.
like 4 years
Started,
later, 4 or 5 years later,
2002,
even more than that.
and we weren't even doing Pathfinder until 2007.
Right.
And and I don't even know if we did web supplements right away.
Yeah,
So
it just wasn't a thing then yet.
It was
at that time.
quite some time. Yeah.
Okay. There was no, there was other books, but there was no other
Yeah.
resource book. There was no need at that point.
Was there ever going to be a second book is an interesting question. And the answer was really no. There wasn't a lot of talk about doing another big setting book. A lot of my attention went into basically three things. One, managing the scenarios for the campaign itself, which was an insane amount of effort because we had 30 regions and they were doing regional adventures, and then we had core adventures, and that was just a ton of work. And then I was on the monthly or bi-monthly, I think at the time, magazine deadlines for Polyhedron, and then we had the Living Greyhawk Journal, which was its own magazine, and then I also had an annual member adventure. So we did the Fright at Trister was the Greyhawk one, but we did other ones as well. And then I was trying behind the scenes very, very desperately, and this I think shows just what a bright-eyed, idealistic young chap I was, I was trying to get Castle Greyhawk published by Gygax. I was trying to do everything I could to do a big super dungeon with Gary's, writing. And sadly, that never came to pass. But I was putting all my effort into that. There wasn't it. What one difference between the Living Greyhawk era and the Greyhawk 98 era is that the Greyhawk 98 era was explicitly designed to be a product line, like Forgotten Realms, like whatever, with annual schedules, with multiple releases. Living Greyhawk Gazetteer was meant to be the launching pad for this whole campaign that in and of itself would have scenarios, but it would also maybe every once in a while have book products or magazines or whatever. But no, there really wasn't like, oh, now that we've done the setting, let's do a big book on the gods, or let's do a big book on the Backlunish lands or whatever. None of that. The idea was it was going to be supported through the magazine and through the scenarios.
Yeah. How was it? Was it a commercial dud or a success or huge success or what was the
I
reception?
don't really remember. I think it did all right,
Yeah.
And it could because very shortly after at this period in time, Hasbro bought Wizards in
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at that point, because Hasbro is a publicly traded company, all of the sales reports and things that used to float around like water at TSR and Wizards disappeared. And so you couldn't really tell as much.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know how well it sold. I'm guessing it did okay.
I recall a discussion about maybe doing a cities book. Now, of course, that wasn't something that was approved or even considered by the company, but Erik and I had talked about that and maybe doing something like the Forgotten Realms hardcover cities book that maybe was
that doesn't surprise me in retrospect because we did have Cities of the Flannis articles in the Dragon and everything once the thing transitioned to become once the Living Greyhawk Journal transitioned to become a section of Dragon. I had a bunch of city. I think we did 4 or 5 cities I think in there. So yeah, cities I think must have been kind of on the brain.
Yeah, because I remember already drafting stuff on Rel Astra and Monmerg and stuff, and
certainly Iron Gate we talked about a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
If you got a little snippet in the Dragon, so that was cool.
If we could get Gary Gygax to write more about Stoink, would be awesome because he mentioned many.
I tried to find that. Obviously I did everything I could, but
we know that's
I was bugging Menser about that yesterday on Facebook.
Oh wow!
He's posting about like he's digging around in his collection, his storage unit or whatever, where he keeps all of his treasures, and he's like, I found all these manuscripts, and I'm like, eyes on the prize, Frank. Stoink, keep looking for Stoink. But no, that was not to be found. Gary was interested in writing, but he naturally and I think understandably wanted a royalty. And at that time, the only way to get a royalty out of Wizards was to write a novel. They didn't do royalties for game product. And again, 26 years old, you guys. I'm like trying to burst my way into big meetings. Can Gary Gygax write a big hardcover book for us? And I think a lot of people would rather I just go away at that point. Nothing really happened. It eventually sort of, I guess in one way, shape, or form, we were able to get in contact with Rob Kuntz, and we did Mari Castle levels in Dry Dungeon, and that's probably as close as we got to the.
Then someone stole Isle of Dread too.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. That's different.
Right.
People have been stealing so much from Greyhawk. I'm just like, fuck it.
It was left unguarded.
Just to mention, I put the link because at DM's Guild you can actually buy a PDF of the Living Greyhawk Gazeteer.
Oh, great!
So, so I put a link in there. So
please do. And again, the long tradition of not paying royalties still exists, and so it will nothing to me and Gary, but please do buy that book and enjoy it.
All right,
I must say it's not one of the best PDFs because it's not a full scan. They put the text in, so there's 2 errors in there. They have Thailand instead of Thailand, so it's OCR. It was OCR'd. So that was a mistake
So
there.
yeah, they weren't even making PDFs.
I hate
from-
that.
It was probably,
Yeah.
geez, guys, it was probably Quark Express that this thing was laid out in. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Wow.
something. Yeah, so it's
And I don't think that they output. I don't even think that they could output them into PDFs at that time. It was
No,
not a regular thing to do.
yeah. So some of the other PDFs, they photographed the pages and didn't OCR them, so they're just text, they're just
Mhm.
images. But this one they OCR'd for some damn reason. So then there's a couple of OCR errors in there in the text. So yeah, I just
Crazy.
warn you. But it's not protected, so you can actually go in and re-edit the text and make it right again. So
Oh, that's good. You can fix all of our natural.
yeah, exactly. You can fix the
Yeah.
errors that were there. So I've done that on my copy. So yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
What errors? How dare you?
No, that it was one because when I was doing research and I was searching for
Oh, it is?
Thailand
Okay.
because and then it was like Thailand came up and it was like, uh-oh, there's something error. So I thought
Ah.
I'd mention that today because it's kind of funny.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
So if we go through this line by line, I mean page by page, it's going to take forever.
Oh yeah.
So like
Yeah, don't do that.
yeah. So where do you want to highlight? So I'm on the Greyhawk's World. I'm assuming a lot of this is very similar to compilations of 83 and 80 and From the Ashes.
I must give a little shout out to languages that I think were wonderful that they got a bit more fleshed out and stuff. But and one question is why there's so many ancient languages? Isn't there in modern Becloonish? Is that one forgotten? I'm kind of yeah.
Huh.
What are the languages in here? What page are you on?
12, it starts at 11
yeah.
and yeah, and then there's the ancient Becloonish and ancient Zulus and Sul and ancient Iridian, etc. Old. I was thinking, don't you have like current contemporary Becloonish?
I mean, you would
Right.
think they must be. I think maybe
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it again.
No,
but,
I'm just
you know,
it's like so we have all
uh,
these ancient languages, but we do
I mean,
and there's nothing wrong with having it in ancient Becloonish, but I was like, don't we have like a
well,
current
look, I mean,
contemporary-
Anna, come on, no. Yeah.
No, I'm
It
just kidding.
says,
Yeah.
it says,
Yeah.
ancient Backloonish, an ancestor of common Backloonish bears its
Well, yeah.
offspring little
Mhm.
resemblance. Many
Yeah.
colloquial Backloonish dialects, some used by the Paynims, are based upon
Yeah.
the classical language and collectively called Low Backloonish.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
your low
Oh,
Backloonish. I think
yeah,
the idea
yeah.
is that ancient Backloonish probably is modern Backloonish. I don't think there is.
Yeah,
a
but
difference.
I
Classical
love
language.
how they traced, and that's why I love this. When they fleshed out, it was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, but it was like it would be cool to keep the ancient Becloonish and then have my modern Becloonish that is like an ancestor to the or the, so the
Yeah.
you have the modern and the old, so to speak, in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I mean, that would make a lot of sense.
Mhm. Yeah, but
I will-
I love
And
the fact that it's so
yeah.
related and you can make like a language tree out of this these couple of pages.
I do have a beef on this page.
Awesome.
Uh-oh.
Let's hear it.
Lendorian Elven, this one line. It seems to appear in the minds of elves who go to Lendor Isle. So they magically get the moon bow and they get this language in their head.
That's
Oh.
but we
This-
have to have our
I know. It just
Sargentisms.
drives me crazy. That's all.
This is where I was saying that Fred and Eric actually worked on this section.
Yeah.
I think that the Lendor stuff was all Fred, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't really. I
It was all
can't.
Carl before that. So
But we have to, yeah. Carl
Yeah.
Sargent,
totally
all
ended
his
up pretty much.
contribution, they couldn't undo that. Some of that had to be because
Yeah,
a
I
lot
mean,
of it,
folks.
yeah.
Among our powerlessness related to both our youth and our outsider nature, we were certainly not going to be making major changes.
I understand. I just
We were trying to consolidate a lot
Yeah.
of the information that had been
Yeah.
done today.
Yeah.
it's all good.
There was one thing. I'm trying to see if I can find where it is.
I can point out one consolidation.
Yeah, why don't you, please?
All right. So in the LGG, it says that there are 5 major languages. That's down 1 from the player's guide that we just talked about last week. There
Oh.
was 6. The one that got demoted was Reni.
Yeah, Ropan.
Ropan. It got demoted.
So can't. Here.
I mean, I think calling that a major language is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, ancient Sulois, it says it's extinct.
Yep.
So that would not be a major language, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's
If
like
anything,
yeah.
Fuzz should be a major language. And you said it was
Everybody is
more.
a critic.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean the
Exactly.
cold
Just trying
tongue
to catch
is
it.
yeah, is probably much more useful.
But now we sound
Yeah.
like a bunch of academic
I-
linguists.
I didn't
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, Anna.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was going to be a trial.
No, it's good. We're all having
No.
fun.
I mean, Eric makes a good point. If there's one big regret is that we lacked the courage to probably push for a more ambitious product
Yeah.
because we weren't sure what the future held.
Hey,
And
understand.
with the writ we got, we had to recapitulate a lot of that material from the gold box.
Yeah.
Even if we thought, well, this is kind of a waste of space because
But
everyone owns the gold box, but no, everyone doesn't own the gold box.
no, that was
Yeah.
20 years earlier. So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
and also you managed to I think reach the pinnacle of Greyhawk publication with what you did. So I can't
Well, thank you, Anna. That
yeah, I can't say anything other than
what
this
I
is
would have
the
loved,
yeah.
Anna, is another 128 pages.
Oh yeah, I mean you can always dream of more, but what we got I think is still
Yeah.
the best the best introduction to Greyhawk ever made.
There's
And
two
yeah.
big missing chapters that were largely researched and written. One on artifacts and relics, which
Mhm.
Eric later published with Alan, largely in a Living Greyhawk journal,
Yeah.
and one on mysterious places, which was going to be
Yeah.
both recapping some of the old ones, but also providing some new ones that we had developed ourselves. And then we talked about doing a Beyond the Flannis chapter too, but that was just greedy, that was
Yeah, that was way out of scope, and I'm glad we
Yeah.
did it in retrospect. I think we would
I
have.
mean, and you guys went outside the Flannis with two of your adventure pass.
at least one. Yeah,
Cauldron
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and Savage Tide are
Yeah.
outside the normal,
Yeah.
or outside the normal flat, which is cool. You expanded.
Yeah. 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 So yeah. And I think that's I don't know if I would have had this opinion in 1999, but I think my opinion today is that that sort of organic development of the setting through adventures is more interesting and useful to me than just like, I don't know, what's west of the Sea of Dust. Let me
I
just
agree.
make up a bunch of shit. And that, that was one of the challenges that I had with and we've talked about this, I think, on the channel before too, but there was this big Greyhawk map project that they were doing as part of that Greyhawk 98 project. And they started, and I was a consultant on that. I did a lot of work on that as well. And they started with all the canon locations, everything from the modules, everything from all kinds of stuff, the novels, whatever. And then I think they looked at the map and said, well, there's some pretty big blank areas. Let's just roll up our sleeves and start making shit up. And I don't know, man. That stuff didn't
That's
always strike me as of the same
Yeah.
sort of caliber or whatever. So when we
It
then
was too fast.
later did the map for Dungeon Magazine, I kind of went back to that middle step where it was mostly the established stuff rather than trying to create a whole bunch of new
When did
continuity.
Chainmail come out?
Chainmail came out. It was tied to the Miniatures Handbook,
Right.
which would have come out, I want to say maybe 2000, 2001.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
So it was right, and a lot of that stuff was placed. Right? Chainmail was a lot of that western area, correct?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
that was something that they decided to do. And again, I think with the idea being Greyhawk's the
Pramus,
core setting, let's pull it in. It was Chris Pramus who was pretty involved in that. And so yeah, he definitely tied some of their setting stuff into off-map areas. And some of that was inspired by that Dragon magazine annual map that had like
Yeah.
Orc Reich and all that kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. The two worst maps in Greyhawk history, definitely, and high up there in my
What's
Head
this? What's the other worst one? If that,
well,
if
well,
there's
it's the
that-
chainmail and the
Ah, I
DA1 map,
see.
and it's funny because we've had people interview people here on the show, and when we get into cartography, I've both of them I kind of say, well, those are the worst maps I've ever seen, and with the people who wrote the art the art order for both of them,
Oh, there you
and,
go. Mike's
and that was bad. So yeah.
okay.
But
Yeah.
that one is a good one in that sense that you took the awful cowhide and tried to make something out of it, so to speak. Yeah.
I think as far as bad Greyhawk maps go, just briefly, I want to put in a word for the Patriots of Ulick
Oh my
map
gosh.
Yeah.
of the like townhome or whatever, where a lot of it
Yeah.
takes. There's like
Mhm.
35 empty rooms and they're all just little squares.
Yeah.
I hate that adventure so much. I'm so sorry to say,
Oh,
but
look, I got Border Watch right here.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
about Border Watch,
Patriots
but
of Ulick was a half-assed attempt to get a battle system game, make it
yeah.
half role of the game and a half battle system, right?
I just
Yeah.
remember like the box text is all like, you travel 3 days and then you stay at an inn and you go into the inn and there's 3 elves and 2 dwarves in the inn and the innkeeper's daughter is very friendly. After conversing with the innkeeper's daughter, you have a longer conversation with her father. Her father is a veteran of this battle and he says you should do this thing. You consider doing that, but you're getting tired. So you go to bed and then in the morning and it's just like, when do I get to play D&D? You know, like
Right.
Yeah.
tell me everything that happened.
Right.
But this is
Yeah.
not the retrospective of Patriots of Ulick.
No, but
It's
yeah.
okay.
We need to nerd
All
out on the
I
bad
got
stuff
some
sometimes too.
questions.
All
Well,
right.
this one's going to take 3 seconds because I don't think they're even going to care. Was there a Y2K consideration?
Oh, that was yeah, because that was a big
That's
thing
okay.
back then. To our younger viewers, Y2K was a big thing
Probably
back
not.
then, before it
I
was
doubt
supposed
it,
to happen,
Patrick.
so to
I
speak.
really
Yeah.
doubt it. That was funny.
Wow. That's a great question, but we did not have a Y2K.
There you go. I didn't think
I
so.
mean, I wouldn't have put it past me to like do a printout, just in case, whatever, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
no, I can't recall that.
Any Blue Joy, anything saucy that got cut that you're happy now that retrospect it wasn't included,
Oh, good one. Yeah.
and content that
Yeah.
would be able to be done
Gary,
in a
did you
better
write
way.
something that you shouldn't have written that thankfully didn't get included or something? Yeah.
That's a tough
I'm not that kind of writer, so no.
Okay, good.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I'm having a hard time even thinking of anything substantive that was cut,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like I don't
Yeah, because you got stuff in other publications, so that was
Yeah, I mean there were like
Yeah.
whole sections that got cut and then I usually just republish that elsewhere.
Yeah.
No, I'm hard pressed to think of anything, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I'm so
just
glad
as you're
that-
talking about in the past. Yeah. Was there
I
ever
mean,
a discussion or
there was-
consideration of doing detailed maps on Earth during the Sul and Backlunish empires? So that's past history. I don't think they were.
There's not strictly cutting, but we did self-edit. I mean, we knew we couldn't.
That's true. We edited each other's stuff, and we probably saved ourselves from making some bad decisions, but I
Yeah.
can't remember.
I mean, I was way too much the Herodotus, Edward Gibbon,
Ah!
writing the
Yeah.
decline and fall of the
Yeah.
Great Kingdom, and I indulged myself a lot in that. And sometimes I think maybe I regret it because we didn't create as many new characters and hooks and plots as we should have. I think, but
I mean, yes, I do think that the end of each section has some conflicts and intrigues, and there's some new stuff there. But I think you're right. I think it was a little bit more focused on consolidating and smoothing over rough edges and continuity of stuff than it was creating a new setting. But I also didn't presume that our job was to create a new setting. Our job was to consolidate material on the world of Greyhawk that was created by Gary Gygax and then heavily updated by Carl Sargent. And I don't, Gary, speak for yourself here, but I never really, when working on this book, I never so much thought of like, oh, it was Gary's vision and then Carl Sargent did all this awesome stuff and now it's us and we're like part of that evolution. I thought we were more like consolidating and caretaking than kind of creating in some way. And I do, in retrospect, do I regret that a little bit? Maybe it would have been a little bit more fun to have some more Erik and Gary and Fred original stuff, but I think we found so much original satisfaction in tying together these disparate parts and disparate parts and so on. And that's where the real creative stuff was, like how we made it all work. Because it really, when you start, it felt like a bunch of pieces that weren't even necessarily part of the same puzzle. And by the end of it, I think we were able to step back and see the full picture. And I think in some ways, with some aspects of the setting, for the first time see the whole picture without having to have 7 books out on your desk or whatever.
Well,
that was the original thing. There was the putting it all together.
I
think we shared the philosophical bent, which was that most of these changes should happen in modules and not in Gazetteer. So
Yeah, I think we all felt that way as well. Yeah. Yeah. We're very module oriented people.
The charm of having the cross-reference the 80 with the 83, and then with the City of Greyhawk box set, and then that From the Ashes, that you got away from that with this, which is good. One book, right? It's like you didn't have to go
I think that
anywhere
was
else.
the idea.
Yeah.
That was the idea, is that it was like,
Yeah, I understand
Greyhawk had never really even had that, you know,
No,
because
I
the
agree.
box set for multiple books and
Things are all over the place. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that if we did nothing else, we consolidated everything into a single setting, then a single book that I think made it digestible for a lot of people.
I mean, the descriptions in the regions are so much more detailed than they are in 83. You got 2 paragraphs, maybe. You're almost getting a full page on a lot of these.
It's
You know?
not even close.
At the same time, Jay,
Yeah.
they condensed stuff that's like in Ivid the Undying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
Yeah,
Ivid the
because
Undying
you
is
had
very-
all the
Ivid the
Mark
Undying is
Lenz,
very
Even the
wordy.
Undying, and I used
Sometimes-
the evil.
Yeah. Well, that's Sergeant talk.
You can tell what we liked and what we didn't like, but we were very subtle about it. We didn't retcon. We didn't retcon Philidor. We just ignored him. So
Thank God.
Yeah.
If you liked Philidor, you could keep using him because we weren't going to stomp him out in some big retcon. But if you you could tell by how we wrote it what we liked.
Yeah,
Erik
but
was definitely our expert on all things Gygaxian in the table campaign. So you could see a lot of homages to that stuff.
There was one name change that I think, now you have to correct me, but I think happened in this era, around this era. That was that Stonefist became Stonehold. And
oh yeah, why did we do that?
What was that? What's the story behind
I
that?
think
I figured that happened in the editing because I don't remember talking about
it. I think it was in around the Flannis articles in Dragon magazine.
Yeah.
Like I think that was all rooted in stuff that had previously happened, but I can't remember now exactly what. Let me turn to it and see if that.
Yeah, but I think it was in this era because earlier on the From the Ashes and the 83 box set and so on, then it was Stonefist, and then all of a sudden it became Stonehold.
Well, Stonefist is a cooler name than.
I like Stonefist more than but it's like the fists having their hold, so I can understand why you name the place Stonehold, but on the other, but I still like Stonefists more
than Gary, Stonehold. What do you think about Prince Hold?
No.
No? Okay. I tried.
I feel like we inherited that. I don't think we did that on our own.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, of course. It's been a long time, but I look at the three of us in particular, and we are not the types to just willy-nilly rename a country. That's not something that we would have done. No. So I think that must have come from somewhere else, but I couldn't.
It's one of these things that just happens and shape the setting. Yep.
There's so much. I mean, so much more data in here. So another off-tangent question. Living Greyhawk Journal 2, the Malden map. How long was that planned? I know you're like, I got to redo the Greyhawk map, right?
Oh boy. I think we had plans to redo the City of Greyhawk map as like the minute that I got the green light to do the magazine. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we had started talking about it as an online project before it became a real thing, because I knew we wanted to do a lot of adventures set in the City of Greyhawk, and that City of Greyhawk box set was out of print since like 1989, I want to say. And so like you just couldn't get it, so we needed to redo it. Dennis had put so much work into his map. I think his map, some iteration of that map, certainly predated. It was just he was doing.
That's what I figured. It was always in planning. Just right place, right time.
Yeah.
Thanks for that question, Patrick.
Hey Jay.
Yes.
You know, we put Dennis's milk cot on the map. We could have put Altamira on the map.
Gary. You know, you make me feel bad that I did not get involved back in.
Exactly. Jay, you were hiding in
way
the basement,
back in the 90s or the late 80s, early 90s. I know. My God, we were hermits. I did not participate at all in Living Greyhawk at all. I should
Just
have.
Tamara could have been on the
I
map.
understand all that, man. It's just it took us 38 years to get out of our hole.
I understand. I
You
understand.
know, it just
I did shamefully make my own player character the mayor of High Folk. That was
Oh, okay.
yeah,
There you go.
that's cool.
yeah, my
Ah.
character in Joe Block's campaign actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Because I met him in Boston while I was in college, where Gary
Yeah.
was in college as well. We were all three of the biggest Greyhawk nerds in the world. Were like zoomed in
It was-
one city.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
And so Tavin Erstetter was my character in his campaign.
Nice.
And
Cool.
I was just reading about that today and thinking to myself, is that an anagram?
Nope, no,
I'm always looking for anagrams.
no.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, my-
funny, but no.
I don't think I consciously did it, so don't worry about looking through my stuff.
So
I think I maybe put a dog in Spine Castle that was named after my dog or something.
Nice. That's the ultimate corruption is to put
Yep.
that into your product.
well, here, let's go to another a fun thing here. Oh crap! I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. No
Oh.
mongrels.
Yeah.
No mongrels in the putrid tongue
There
tonight.
you go.
People bust stones saying this is the ugliest picture of Yolande ever.
I mean, there's no question. That is a homely queen.
Homely queen, yes.
That's an ugly elf. Yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to the art, I love the fact that there are custom pieces
Thanks,
made
Patrick.
for the book, so to
Yeah.
speak, rather than meaning we
that's
have
that's
to
a good
put it
question.
we had to put it in context because TSR had been in such a bad shape the previous years. So we got a lot of rehash, and art was one thing they cut a lot of there was a lot of crap on here and there in the latest product, so to speak, that it made when the TSR was on the brink of going bankrupt, so to speak. So this was, to me, it was a huge plus because there were commissioned custom pieces made specifically for the product, which I think was cool.
As the coordinator, did you work on the art order or?
Oh, I wrote every art description in the book. Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, and many of them were like very detailed, especially when you get to the
Priests.
the priests. Boy, that was, I mean,
Yeah.
I was pulling reference and
I mean, my favorite piece in there is the death of Elaine the Fourth.
Yes.
yeah, I was just looking at that. Like literally, it's this one right here.
What
right?
page is that on?
It's on 90. Yeah, poor guy. He's
Yeah.
having a rough go of
And
it.
even if they're rough sketches, I like that they're rough sketches
I
because
like
that means
that-
that you can read more into it.
I like that we had the opportunity to do something in this sort of black and white era. Like
Yeah.
if this product had been done 2 years later, it would have been all color painted art, and in some ways it would have been wonderful. But I don't know, just like flipping through it tonight, it's just like a little bit of a blast of nostalgia of that kind of pen and ink, black and white
All
art,
right.
because that's the art that we had when we all fell in love with this setting in the first place.
We're going
Yeah.
back to that with the Luke project.
Great, good for you.
Gary, the columns are the same size too.
Exactly. That
Oh.
broke a Greyhawk tradition.
We were
of having
talking about
one wide and one
Player's
narrow
Guide
column.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said
That was an interesting and somewhat bizarre choice the layout. I
Yeah.
probably had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Get it
Caught
standardized.
your eye. It really did.
Yeah.
So
And those really detailed sidebar drawings by Sam Wood were pretty cool.
That was another thing. Now we're talking about art. The sidebars, these kind of cool little symbols, are they just
Mhm.
decoration or there's
Yeah,
something
all
behind
these.
them? Yeah.
all these.
I don't think there's anything behind them, honestly. I
Yeah.
think they're mostly just
I want to invent them as some sort of old script. You have
Yeah,
like a
that'd be cool.
circular script. Yeah. So I was thinking about
cool.
making a font that are based at like a script language, say that it's old Sewell or some old script language that you can encode things using these kind of
Amazing.
round things. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's been on my to-do list for years. I just want to figure out which culture it belongs to. That's the tricky bit, so to speak.
I took it for granted that they were the gold box runes, but the more I look at them, I'm like, oh no, they aren't.
No, they're special. They're yeah.
So in chapter
So,
4,
all right, sorry,
Okay.
Jay, let me shoot you. I just found something
Yeah,
on my
please.
computer that I
Discord
think you can kick out of it. I'll shoot it to you. I'll shoot it to you on Facebook. That's
Oh,
easy.
okay. All right.
Uh,
If I
but
crash
go
the
ahead.
stream, everyone, don't go anywhere.
No, it's not going to be that crazy, but it's just an old picture that I think would be fun for the viewers to
Let me,
see.
whoops. All right, let me go to Facebook
One of
here.
the fan questions was, did we ever consider perhaps moving the timeline forward and not writing it in 591?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so
I
either.
like the year-to-year you did in Living Greyhawk as well, all the way up through 598.
From a practical standpoint, if we were to bump it 5 or 10 years, we would spend a lot of
Oh my
time catching
gosh.
the reader up on what had happened, and that would be a waste of space for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just typing in this picture, named it Young.
So I found a picture of Sean,
Wow.
myself, and Fred Weaning from the I think it was probably 2000 Gen Con where the book came
Sean
out.
is still bald though.
Well,
He was bald.
some things start early.
Yeah, wow.
Some people are trendsetters from the very start.
Oh, there you go.
Look at those
Look at that.
cherubic children. And then the spirit of Gary Holian is floating around us, but breaks any camera that ever comes into contact with.
Yeah, so very
Awesome.
cool. Excellent.
Eric, how old were you in 98?
98, I would have been 24 years old.
Wow. Okay. So I was 26. So I think we've had more time since writing the LGG from before it. So now,
Uh-oh.
That's true. That's true. Our whole lives, actually. Yeah, that's a great point.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
wow.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is weird. I told somebody at work, I said, I got to leave work a little early today because I'm going to be a guest on a podcast. And they said, "Oh, you're so famous." I said, "No, I'm just very old." This book is 25
you
years old.
youngsters. Yeah. Compared to me, you young ones.
In the chapter 4, so much detail in all the regions, and anything stick out that you remember? Who wrote most of these?
I think we split them up fairly evenly.
Lots of detail.
I feel my memory just to like Gary,
I know
correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Fred did a lot of the did all the Backlunish stuff, and did like the Lendor Isles. I think Gary did a lot of the Sheldamar Valley Keoland stuff, and I did Domain of Greyhawk. I want to say
Central.
some of the Central, like Ernst. And,
so if any of the listeners are on Cannon Fire Discord, I actually posted the exact breakdown.
Oh, you did?
Yesterday or the day before.
Oh, man. Okay, I'd be interested in seeing that because I don't.
Yeah.
I had most of the Great Kingdom and Sheldamar, like you said, but I had to give up some of those countries. You had the Marklands, the center.
Yep.
And Fred had the Barbarians and the Backlunish mostly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who had Niron? Because Valmoku says it sucks. Just kidding.
Oh.
That might have been me. I don't remember.
No, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. He just wanted to know who did Niron. So
Eric did write Niron, and Valmoku's a big fan of it. So.
It was me.
It was Eric there, Michael. There you go. So
Don't twist it, Jay.
I'm kidding. I was just joking. And twist it around. But okay, this is Herculean. I mean, my God. What'd you have? 6 months to put this together?
Oh, less, I think.
I would say less.
That's a lot, man.
So get this.
All these drafts were probably longer than you see what became published.
Go ahead there, Mike.
Oh, no, I was gonna tell the guys, Gary, Eric, I did some dumpster diving the other day.
Oh,
I was reading the best of AOL.
Oh,
you got through to those, yeah.
Okay, we're talking 1995.
Diving implies trash.
Yeah, you can get to them if you know how to get to
And
them.
Oh yeah,
Fred did some extensive stuff on the Backlunish, and in Orth Journal 5 he did Blackmore. I'm assuming a lot of what you guys had been doing prior to 98 maybe ended up in this.
For sure.
Fred stuff, for example.
I told Eric about my Death Knights like back in 95.
And I remember, Gary, you did something on Grey Talk that was like I think eventually became much bigger, but was like the Silent Ones of Keeland and like some of
Yeah.
the different sort of magic schools and stuff.
Oh, yeah, you published that North Journal 2 or 3. I
Yeah, but
think.
I mean, that was stuff you had been tinkering
Oh,
with
for
as a
sure.
fan for a long time, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's no doubt that that our areas of interest in our fan writing probably helped to dictate how we broke up the
I
Flanagan.
think that's
Right.
Yeah.
absolutely the case, and in the cases where we were writing stuff that we weren't experts on, we did spend a lot of time researching,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
needed to be said for that nation, and I think we did a pretty good job of finding every reference we could.
Yeah, I do too. I think we spent a lot of effort on that. Yeah, I'm looking at my old files and stuff, and I'm afraid that this computer only goes back to like Polyhedron 150 and Living Greyhawk Journal number 5. Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, never mind.
5 has that excellent um, gazetteer on Zeef that Fred wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in 5. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So it was a mix of prior notes, as Doc asked, and discussions on AOL and everything. It was a full compilation team effort. It sounds like all over
We were meeting like, I think we were almost like,
daily.
we had a chat open like almost every day. I mean, we were
Right.
talking constantly.
Yeah. And these drafts were being emailed to each other also very frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just looking
Yeah.
through here.
At one point, I don't know if you had made this arrangement, Eric, but we got this big scroll tube with a huge handmade map on it of the planets, and we were asked to annotate it.
Yeah,
and he-
that was, yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember that.
I'm not sure when Fred passed there, Michael. Does anyone know when Fred passed? What year?
Fred has not passed, as far as I know.
Oh, Fred is not passed there,
Oh.
Michael.
Fred just vanished one
He
day.
vanished.
Walked in.
Uh-oh. Yep.
But you lost him.
I'm casting a geese spell on you to find him there. There you go. My God, my brain just shut off on my next question here. All right. Who decided where are we going with IUs and Tarash Mac and all that? Where's the cutoff? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are we starting things? We starting it from Roger's guide here, and we're just going to keep it status quo, or are we going to give the shield lands a little bit more land back? Like, because I think they had that from the wars. Like, where was the cutoff mark?
Yeah, that's Eric's territory, but
Yeah.
I think we were pretty cautious. We were trying to be true to the material that was just released as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So it went to where Roger was, because Roger undid a lot of it. They took back some of the lands in the Shield lands and the Crook of Ral and all that. That all happened. All right. Just asking.
Yeah, I think it was definitely our goal to be consistent with everything that had happened.
Okay.
I don't think we were trying to reverse.
This is often, I think, a misconception among fans, and this applies to everything that Eric's published since. I mean, you don't always write what you wanted to write. You sometimes have to write what you're told to write, or what
That's
fits.
definitely true.
Right.
Yeah.
You can see this in the comic book industry. You inherit a mountain of canon, and you have to make sense of it, but you don't always get to change it. And in some cases, like things like the Flight of Fiends, there were definitely a lot of people weren't fans of that, but we made it work. We just either we ignored something if we thought it wasn't really good for the setting, or we came up with a very nice creative way of making it a more gentle impact.
I found under Valuna, I found the Crook of Ral right here. Talking about the recovered of it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, one example of that is I found Sargent a little grimdark. I felt like
you think
a country of millions of people don't all rub their hands together and think of what evil thing they could do tomorrow. So
I got it. Yeah, I know, 100%.
But you could do that without retconning the whole thing. You just reveal more information.
Yeah. Okay. So we are at get through the chapter get through. But you guys did add stuff that I never had heard of before. For example, just here, the word of Incarnum. There you go. Holy Scriptures of Ral. That's new. I never heard of that before. It's right here in the Voluna section. So someone's
that
coming
might
up with.
be,
God,
that might be from Gary Lye's dungeon adventure, Hopeful Dawn.
okay.
Nice pull, Gary. You're the best in the business.
I would have never. Yeah,
Uh,
better pull than me there. My gosh, the section on the section on these on the yeomanry and shield lands and all. You go into your 80 box set at maybe 15 pages. This is like 100.
That article, that dungeon adventure might be the only reason that Rao is now the major religion of Voluna.
Really?
Because we didn't. If you look at the gold box, we don't know the major religion of any of
Yep.
those countries.
Except
that
for
sounds
one.
right.
But
Now,
it makes sense. You made the good story out of it, so to speak. It's
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
Gygax confirmed Foltest for the Pale in his novel, so that was easy, and I think it was also confirmed in Fate of Istis. So, but Almor, we never had an official god there, and I just decided it was going to be Pelor with a sort of a council of good gods around him.
Right.
And Voluna, I think we're getting it right from Gary Lye's article. And then that created a little bit of controversy because Rabank is like St. Cuthbert, but then you could make St. Cuthbert a follower of Rao and put all the pieces back together again.
yeah. And also Rao, I have it that Rao is one of these. It's a consultant for the high and mighty, and so they needed someone to keep the masses and the plebeians at bay, so to speak, or in order. So Cuthbert is perfect to keep the normal dudes, or keep them happy and
really
not
good stuff.
rebellious or anything, so to speak. The masses. Yep.
All right. How about a contentious memory? Something like you guys thought about.
Thought about?
Yeah, like
Thought about. We did not have a lot of time to fight.
no. So if Sam and Curtis were in a room together, there'd be fighting, right? I'm just saying, for that. You guys are like, no, I don't like that idea.
What did you do with Fred? Says Sam in the chat. We were already. Erik chose us because we already were fairly in agreement about a lot of the things that needed to be done. So it's not like we were. There were definitely wings of fandom that were much more heretical than us that wanted to, tear up the set a lot more.
For sure.
Okay.
We were pretty conservative when it comes to just having reverence for what had come before. I don't think we were particularly interested in shaking things up.
That's fine.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just
definitely
I just wondering if there was like, you wanted to something wanted to be introduced. I see down here later on. I see Gary, the Silent Ones. Is this the first appearance officially?
Like I said, I think it appeared. They appeared in the Orth Journal first.
Okay, but yes, but I'm talking about in published source. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So and then how about People of the Testing?
That was from Sargent's material.
Sargent. Why did I even ask that? I shouldn't have asked that. Oh my god.
Another thing I'd like to address is that I've noticed out there a little bit of a note of people criticizing the LGG for being kind of like, I don't know, almost, if not anti-Gygaxian, but somewhat ignorant of it. And nothing could be farther from the truth. We were huge fans of Gygax, and
that's shocking to hear that.
Right.
You still hear people say, "Oh, 576 is the original setting." Everything.
Oh, well, sure.
It's a dishonor to what happened, and I'm like, well, guys, we were huge fans, and we had this opportunity to expand on the setting. It wasn't going to happen.
And the shitloads of the stuff in the book come from those Around the Flannis articles written by Rob and Gary that were set in like 578 or 579. And frankly,
it was
play out almost exactly the same way as the Greyhawk Wars do. So
meaning
pipe down a little bit.
Yeah, Kurt Sargent got his inspiration from those articles to a large degree, I think.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
no, you could not find a bigger Gygax fanboy at Wizards of the Coast in 1999 than your own little buddy Erik Mona.
And Erik reached out to them and got some things published by them. He would have published a lot more if they were, willing to do it.
Yeah.
What?
One little
Okay.
anecdote that I think is cool in this is that you gave almost every realm new name coinage. You got them names. The
Mhm.
different coins have
Yeah.
names, which I think are cool because that's
Some
a
of that
Greyhawk
might
tradition. Yeah.
have come from Roger, to be
I
fair.
was
Like
going to
I
say,
think that
Okay.
was
thanks
one
for
of
the
the
prayers, Anna,
areas.
but I don't know if we did any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
But
may have
it's a
tweaked it
cool
a little bit.
tradition because Gary
Yeah.
gave the coins names in
Looking here
the
to see.
gourd books,
Yeah,
the
for
gold
sure.
orbs and the
Brass
silver
bits and iron
nobles, and yeah,
drabs and
exactly.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, of
So
course.
it kind of cool tradition that, and those were the Greyhawkian names, presumably, and from the books, and
Thanks,
then it's
Matt.
kind of cool to give other parts of the setting have different names of the coins. So
I mean,
that,
it only makes sense. That's kind of how the
yeah.
real world works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although I would say, Anna, there may be a little mistake in there in that some of these smaller realms probably use the coins of bigger realms and they're not
Oh,
actually
sure. Yeah.
minting their own stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the other thing that a DM should always consider is when your PCs find a hoard, it's
Hmm.
very likely old coinage that has, a different Overking's face on it. And
Yep.
they're going to get
Hmm.
questions when they go into
Yep.
town,
You
with a
have to
400
melt
year
them
old
Point.
down
Overking's
and
face on it.
sell them as metal,
Yeah.
or you have to
That's a good point.
somehow launder them, so to speak. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
I'm going to ask this. This is theoretical.
Sure.
You say you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Well, now it's been reset. Yeah, Greg's basically been reset, right? With the new.
Oh yeah, we're back to 576
Oh,
now,
Yeah.
right?
What
yeah.
happens to all this? What happens to all the history? I mean, once we're all gone.
I think that it will always be in some fashion or another finding itself magnetically pulled back to 576 because that's the original version of the setting.
Yeah.
Right.
One that is closest to sort of Gary's vision. That's the one that's closely tied to the origin of D&D itself. Um, I think it will probably continue to be revised again and again and again. I think that D&D in 2050 will want to do the 75th anniversary or whatever, and at that point they will
Hmm.
look at what is in the current Dungeon Master's Guide and go, "Oh, those ignorant fools! Like I
Yeah.
can't believe
Hmm.
Right.
whatever it is," and then they'll reinvent it in a way that honors the things that they still value from the original, but that speaks to the audience of that day. And so I just I don't know, I think that it will always be in this perpetual navel gazing kind of nostalgic loop that is going to take it back to the original kind of all the
Fair enough.
time.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Greyhawk is special in that way because it was the original setting for
Mhm.
D&D in a way
Mhm.
that other settings don't have that baggage or that history, so to speak. And
Yeah.
that has shaped the destiny of Greyhawk as a published
It,
product, meaning they when Gary was forced out of the company, Greyhawk was forced out that way, and then it's been revived several times and stuff. So is Greyhawk unique in that way, or is it
it is
just
because
special? Yeah.
it's still home to the most iconic characters, with a few exceptions. It's home to the
Yeah.
most iconic modules, with few exceptions. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought that WotC would be publishing a ton of new modules that would become classics in their own time, but they haven't. Um, so they keep going back to the well, and so in that sense, yeah,
Yeah.
it's unique. In the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer's defense, I would say we wrote it. Yes, it was set in 591, but the bulk of the material is useful for a campaign that's set in 576 because it's just talking
Oh yeah.
about the
Right.
history,
That would be my hope, is that
Oh yeah.
people continue to use it as a resource, even if they're riffing on a different time period or something, because we did a tremendous amount of tying things together, making connections, trying to do it in a logical way. But I also know that the type of continuity caretaking that I have sort of subscribed to my whole career, but that Gary and Fred and others who participated in this project felt as well, is honestly pretty rare in the business. I think that there's a lot of people who would say that is a waste of time, that the audience for the most part doesn't really care about that stuff, and just kind of get to the fight, and so do I expect the writers in 2050 to go back and make some deep,
What's
you
up,
know
Dennis? They're
uh,
smiling.
pull from that beautifully written Niron section that we were talking about earlier? I don't know. I don't think they will. I think fans will. And I think that Greyhawk has the best fans in the world, and
Oh
and
yeah.
and so
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, I hope that this stuff continues in some way, and that it's not just every 10 years they kind of lick their finger and erase what came before and start afresh without any, reverence. I was looking online, and I don't know where this happened or whatever, but I guess my old boy Iquander is not the librarian of the Greyhawk
He's retired
library
apparently. Yeah.
anymore. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, it's good to be the publisher at Paizo, so my character Ostog the Unslain will never not be the king of the,
Hmm.
Viking lands. But
Yeah.
until I die, and then someone will be like, "Well, I guess he's retired." So I wish that the people
Yeah,
involved in every iteration of this have a similar level of kind of reverence for what came before, but I
Yeah.
don't think that that's the case. It's a lot of work, and
Oh yeah.
now, if you think about it, when Gary and Fred and I were working on this, realistically, Greyhawk came out in 1980, then it was a big polish in 1983. And so by the time we're writing this in 1999, the setting's only 19 years old. The setting is now 20 more years old,
Hmm.
including this honkin'
Yes.
book that took most people like 6 years to even fully digest.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Um, so there's a lot of continuity now, and now
Yeah.
you piece in the new version of the site. Now there's a whole corpus of fan material
Yeah.
that is widely kind of accepted by a lot of the Greyhawk fans. So I don't know, it takes a lot of effort to
That's a great
do.
Yeah.
point.
Is that meaning this is not only a Greyhawk, this is for every role-playing game and similar genre? Is it a huge asset to have this enormous backlog of stuff, or is it is it an asset, or is it a hurdle for new gamers to
I
come
think
in, so to
it's a
speak?
big debate. Is
It's
it
Yeah.
is
both.
it a
Yeah.
bottomless pit of treasure from which you can always pull something new and
Yeah.
inspirational and exciting? Or is it in fact a huge barrier to entry that keeps people out because they feel that mastery of it is
Yeah.
always kind of elusive? I think
Hmm.
it depends on the person, and I
Yeah,
think it
that's
depends
true.
on
And
the player.
yeah, and the culture of and
Great
community,
question.
so to speak. So yeah.
From what I see out in the streaming world, 95% are complete fresh home brews, but they're not Matt Colville. They're not with 200
Homebrew,
viewer
yeah,
average. They're with a
homebrew is
10
still the
viewer
most popular
average.
setting.
You know?
Well, I know for a fact that, way more people who play D&D play in their own settings
Yep.
than the
Hmm.
Dropbox or Greyhawk.
Which I think is what's the original intent by Gary, because he never thought that they should even publish settings because they thought people would write their own. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think there was a feeling, even with third edition, with the idea of Greyhawk being the default setting, was that no, the quality of Greyhawk, like I feel this very strongly. I feel like there was a dichotomy, weirdly generational dichotomy of the decision makers at Wizards of the Coast in the creative department in 1999 between people who thought of Greyhawk as the entire shebang from the beginning all the way up to Return of the Eight or whatever, and that was one continuous, setting. And I think that was pretty rare. I think that was like me and Sean Reynolds. And then I
Yeah.
think that there was like other people who thought fondly about the 83 box set and the original modules and all of that. And but then I think that there some of the real decision makers, some of the people were a little bit older, and I think their view of Greyhawk was the 1980 folio. And it was just a loose collection of
Hmm.
nouns and a map, and that's kind of it. And that's the
Yeah.
quality of it. That's the
Yeah.
value of it, is that it is so sketchy and it allows you to kind of make it your own, fill
Yeah.
it yourself. And I think it's true. I do think that is a huge
We,
element of Greyhawk's attraction.
I,
But
yeah.
obviously, I'm a nerd and I like all of
Yeah.
it instead of just
Yeah.
Anna and I
Greyhawk
had a discussion on
stuff.
Sunday Night Scabbing because there are no names of any of the leaders in that book. So Owen said Karand was a name I had to come up with my own Prince of Ulick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I asked him, what do you do when someone published the name? Do you retcon it back in,
No.
or how do you do it, so to
No.
speak? Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah.
Can't
So
retcon at that point. But that's the
Yeah.
thing. I knew he was a fighter thief. But so that's why he
Yeah.
made him kind of
But
underhanded.
it is also part of the play style, meaning for
Yeah.
some people, they play setting is so key, meaning I can switch rule system. I've switched rule systems in my Greyhawk campaign like 6 times every
Yeah.
10 years and so on.
Yeah.
And now I make my own version because I don't want it to ever change again. So, but
Right.
anyway, but so for me, the setting is the key bit, and the rule system is this things I can switch out and experiment with. But the setting is key. But for other people, it's the rules that are the essential. Whether I play Pathfinder or Castle of Crusades or D&D or 5th edition or whatever,
Yeah.
some
Right.
OSR,
It's-
for them
it's-
it's that bit. The mechanics is the
Yeah.
most
It's
interesting,
still a
and the setting is
tactical
more
game.
like some sort of style setting, or it changed the styles a little bit of it.
Gary, were you gonna say
It's
something?
varnish on top of the rules,
No,
so to speak.
Anna is absolutely
Yeah.
right. There is a big division between those who are,
Yeah.
into Osric as Osric and not into
Yeah.
Greyhawk
hmm
as a
But
setting.
there's nothing wrong with either way. You can
No.
play a role playing game and treat it as a game and simply skip the setting bit, and that's a perfectly viable. Even Greyhawk, you can just digest the modules and that's it. So yeah,
I think by 1993, when fans started to find each other online on Usenet and AOL eventually and Grey Talk and stuff, one of the reasons to why are you into Greyhawk? It's because I share 80% of an interest in a setting with someone else that I can, collaborate with. And, I can get Anna's maps. I can get Anna's heraldry. And you don't get that in a homebrew. So
I like how you said 80%, because that's about, I'd say
Yeah,
75.
we all have our own.
Yeah, I'd say about 75 there. So
Yeah, and I think it's also fair to say that the LGG isn't my Greyhawk. It isn't Eric's Greyhawk. It isn't Fred's Greyhawk.
no,
It's the Greyhawk that we collaborated on. But we all have our, things that we would have tweaked a little more differently for our own campaigns. And, that's every DM has that right. And
absolutely.
privilege.
What all right, Mike, you gotta have a question. I know you did a lot of research for this. What do you got? No?
A question at this point?
Yeah, a question or comment for
Oh,
Gary
geez,
and
no. I could eviscerate the LGG, but
Break out the
I might just say
break out
that
the
for
red
a
pens.
what?
slow.
Alex, you got her confused now. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I'm just saying I find a lot of stuff that is neat, that's new, that I don't.
Oh, good. Eviscerate in a good way.
Eviscerate.
Yeah.
By the way,
Well-
Sam Wise said to me last night that he wishes he was around then because we needed some more editing. We needed.
Yeah.
We have
Who
some.
said that?
Sam Weiss.
Oh, he's usually so friendly.
Ah!
But I think it's the very nature of the disjointed way we put it together. I mean, we were writing individual sections on nations,
Yeah,
and
but-
some of them depended on the lore of another nation. And while we were doing that, we did probably let a few things,
Yeah.
get messed up, but not very often. I think we did a pretty good job.
No, I'm not talking about mess ups, really. I mean,
No.
when I find a lot of things that I never knew before. It's
Right.
LGG is one of them books I open up every
Little
time I read
tidbits.
something
Learn
new.
something new as you flip through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little tidbits. Just like I said, like that thing about Rel. You just look up and you go, oh, okay, wow, I didn't know that.
There's like a section on Starish, where there's a lot of the good bits. If you want to like skim it, go just to the conflicts, the hooks that Gary was talking about.
That's an Eric nation. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a thing that talks about dark. I can't remember how it was put, but it's alluding to what eventually became the Istaven modules in
Oh, yeah.
Dungeon Magazine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By Eric Boyd, the Eric Boyd Adventures.
No,
Yeah.
by Greg Vaughn.
Oh, Greg
So
Vaughn.
the-
I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess the overarching question, evisceration, as I put it so bluntly, is your hooks and stuff in this book Was that meant for Living Greyhawk campaign digest, or was this then
No.
fuel that Eric used later in Paizo?
It was a lot of everything. It was meant to just inspire GMs, and it was meant to maybe be things we could come back to in the campaign. I think for Gary and me and Fred, and Gary, feel free to disagree, but it was kind of the opportunity to, that was our reward a little bit, right? We did all the hard work, we did all the piecing together of the disparate parts of, from 20 years of continuity, but then we got the opportunity to say, okay, so now what do we do with this country? And that, I think that's the most original stuff in the whole book, probably, is the adventure hooks.
Oh, I see.
And Greg, when he
I
pitched
agree.
me that adventure, he was like, I think he was explicitly riffing off of the adventure hook in the
the five. It says 5 Evan skinned elves bodies
There
were
it
found
is.
right in there. Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
It just an
Beautiful.
example of the cool little details they put in. In Amidio, there's a Lake Matrace, and someone said named after the Chaos Explorer, blah blah, something like that. That's the kind of cool little detail that is the whole. It's smack full of these cool little references that you can make a whole adventure out of if you want to, and I just love that part of world building, so to speak.
I was never really
fantastic.
super comfortable. Sean Reynolds has said Hep Mona Land was named after some guy named Yuri Hep Mona or something. I'm like,
I don't.
that's a little too. I can't claim that.
No, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
think-
guess
yeah.
it's kind of fun, but
Yeah.
I think that those were Gary Gygax's privilege.
Mona,
Everybody
yeah.
else should just avoid doing that as much as possible.
No, but that would have been awesome, Eric. You should have claimed that one. That's
well, I mean, it's in canon, so I
yeah.
take it for what it's worth. But
Yeah.
that one
Yep.
was a little awkward for
That
me.
was awesome. Yep.
All right, so you guys are getting this set, and then I guess you had year 0 and year -1 for Living Greyhawk, right? And then year 1's going to be 2001, right? For when Living Greyhawk.
I
kicks
think
off.
so, and it didn't. Isn't that? I think that might be why it's set in 591, because we wanted to have the year be the same as
Smart.
the final digit of the real year, which we carried forward with Galarian as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I just posted a link to a sheet that tells you who wrote what.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
nice. There it is. Great particle. Wow. Look at the detail. That's more detail than you get in any other publication there. Nice. Holy jeez. Let me see if I can bring this up. Hold on. I'm going to have to, you're going to get a double sound for about 2 seconds. Give me 1 sec.
Sure.
I'll bring it right up on the, because I got to bring up the stream.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I got to bring up, there you go. And you get sound again, and I'm going to
Oh,
click
yeah, look at
that, and
that.
then I'm going to turn this off here. There we go. There we go.
I think there's definitely, looking at this list, there's a couple of these where I'm like, well, I guess if no one else wants it, I'll do Sundi.
No, they're not all equal.
There we go.
I mean, I liked grabbing the Sheldamar Valley and the Great Kingdom because I felt like I wasn't going to conflict with a lot of canon there.
Yeah.
And Gygax had not written a ton about it, except for those really cool dragon articles.
Yeah.
Talking about the near future. So yeah, the Sheldamar Valley in particular, I pretty much got to set the entire baseline for it.
Did you have this? If you kept this for 25 years, or did you
Yeah.
do this by memory?
No, this was an Excel spreadsheet that I sent to Eric and Fred that
Wow.
I have converted into
Yeah.
Nice
Nice.
data.
Nice.
Now this is really making me want to go spelunking in old hard drives and stuff, because
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of good stuff.
you have to do that. You never know what,
You
what kind
should.
of neat stuff you find.
It's part
All
of
the time.
archaeology now. Yeah.
All the time I find stuff. I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize
I'll
I
get
had that.
there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
either be me or it'll be the executor of my will who will do all that.
Oh, no.
That was way before Gmail, guys, and before you had all your mail in the cloud.
Right.
So
You had to
for
email
me,
it.
I don't know if I could get my,
This
my,
computer, I have very detailed records on this computer that go back to 2002, and so
Wow.
just
Wow.
shy of the era that we're looking at here.
Yeah. Damn. That's awesome.
I mean, there was a period, still in the early 2000s when I had to snail mail Eric drafts. It wasn't
Yeah.
The turn-in wasn't electronic yet. And I would get back drafts with red ink.
Wow.
Draft.
Yeah. 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 Ed Greenwood used to send floppy disks through the mail to his polyhedron columns when I was editing polyhedron. So it's
Ed was
there
ahead of his
Yeah.
time. All right, so what? Do you have a regret? Like what you're like, man, I wish I could have stuffed this one thing in.
I have a regret, Jay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If I were around a little more tech savvy back then, I would be Fred Whining. Because I look at Gary's list there, and everything Fred worked on is what I would work on.
See, you could have been
Except Celine.
Maybe, yeah.
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 I
But
see Celine. It was one.
At least I
90%
can-
of it.
Yeah, I can claim language barrier and distance, world
Yeah.
distance and stuff. Back when this happened,
Yeah.
I was a avid viewer and reader and collector of all this stuff, but I didn't engage. Yeah,
I claim stupidity that I didn't get involved back then. Especially with the with the frickin' Keeland group right
Yeah.
there in Jersey, PA, Delaware, or whatever.
yeah. I was very
New
close
York.
to going to Gen Con several times in the late 90s, from 95 to 2005. I was almost every year, but there was something coming up every damn year.
The only thing
Yeah.
I'd tweak on that list is I'd have to steal the Hold of the Sequences from Eric.
No, never. I was really into that country.
Yeah.
Kick the
I mean,
damn
that
Scarlet
early
Brotherhood
crowd-
out, right?
That early crowd was like 20-somethings at certain universities who were really into Greyhawk.
Yeah, man. That's the cool thing about it. That they even gave you guys the opportunity. That's
And
such a cool thing.
boy, were we rude and hard asses to each other. I mean,
I'm sure that's true.
if we thought a version of canon was the correct one, we laid it on the person who was.
That's actually kind of the stuff I'd most like to find is the transcripts of our
Oh my
chats
gosh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. You know,
Because I mean, it got so heated that some of the pros just left the mailing list. They didn't want to deal with that.
The pros. What do you mean?
Oh
by
well,
pros?
oh boy! If you're talking about not just you, me, and Fred, but like the Greyhawk community at the beginning, like, do you remember when Eric Shook showed
We
on?
were nice guys compared to some of
Yeah,
these
we were
guys.
nice compared to some people. Holy moly! But everyone was very passionate. We were, I think, both enthused and surprised to find that. And this is, I think, was very manifest on AOL. Where Greyhawk was the most popular setting among, I think it had a lot to do with the demographics of who was on AOL or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but here was our little chat room, and they used to like look. They did them in these folders, and you would fill up a folder, and then you had to start a new folder.
That's
And I
right.
definitely know that a bunch of us were just like, I'm going to post 3 or 4 times today just to make sure that we have more posts on the Forgotten Realms, and and I think it was just such an interesting. Just the whole concept of talking to people online was new, and to be able to meet people that you didn't know and to share things that you were really into and then collaborate on projects. It all sounds so basic now, but it was really something new and exciting.
And there's a surprising amount of people that was active in the Greyhawk community that are now heavy professionals in the hobby, in the business, like you, Eric, and that got its cut your teeth or whatever you say in the Greyhawk community back then.
For sure.
Yeah, just like AOL, Greyhawk had it would digest after every 100 emails, and there were some days where we had 3 digests.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was sick, and a lot of it was also just like everybody's first opportunity to like go, somebody might be interested in my own campaign notes that I did 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Just for everyone's reference on this ancient era, Eric said his screen name was Equander, Gary's Peacemaker. Fred Whining is Cyclops.
Yeah.
Yes, with a P. Yeah.
With a P.
Okay.
Cyclops.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Damn. All right. What other questions does the audience have? Or Annie, do you have any questions too?
I think I got
Fun time. This is fun.
my covered and then some. So to
Hey, there's
speak. So
Rick.
this is awesome. Yeah.
What's up,
I've got a couple from the chat from
Go for
this
it.
morning and yesterday. Someone asked, what would we have done differently if we had full control of the LGG?
Oh, yeah.
So I think for me, the easiest thing is I'm looking at 384 hardcover. We get those chapters from the artifact. I mean, artifacts and relics are such a huge part of Greyhawk. I feel like it's kind of, it's something that's missing from the LGG. And then way more chapters on mysterious places, organizations, and NPCs would have been great.
But the good thing is that a lot of that was published later. So that the good thing is that we have
it was.
So yeah.
But but I wouldn't pull anything out. I would only add. I think it's.
I like it's such a dense book. Like I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure, especially with 25 years of retrospection. I don't know that it needs more work. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
friggin' heavy.
It could
you
use
know?
it could use more personalities. I mean,
Yes, I think that's a fair point. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it'd be a
It's
little bit less about history and, the big picture, and a little bit more about the characters who inhabit the world. And
Yeah.
if I did it now,
yeah.
as someone who's older than a 25-year-old and who
Oh.
has published hundreds of books, I would do it very differently. I would have much more ways for players to hook into the setting, more cool
Right.
rules things, more
Yeah.
stuff that just grounds you in the setting in a real way that comes up in the game as opposed to in your head when you're thinking about the game.
That's why I love the City Graph box set and From the Ashes. There's a ton of them. Oh, by the way, Eric, you didn't hear this story. We had Doug Niles on his book. I showed it to him. I don't have any recollection of writing that at all.
I find that shocking.
We believe that he was just put on here and that Sargent did both of them. That's
Yeah.
our guess. We have to verify it with
Well,
Malvin.
don't forget, Rick Rose was involved as
Right,
well.
Rick
We
and
had him
him.
on.
This one says
Yeah.
right on there by Doug Niles, right?
Yeah.
And Doug says I didn't write it.
I mean, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So it could. Yeah. It just was
Have you ever had Steve Winter on the
Yes.
show?
Yes.
One time.
Yep.
Yes, we have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
I'd be really interested to get under the hood of just how much of that 83 box set was him.
I
Yeah.
was so curious about that too, but he also didn't seem to remember anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think he
I don't-
wrote the Pluffett Smedger entry. The
Okay.
training.
Yeah.
I don't think Gygax wrote the, it's your world, do what
Take your
you
grab
want.
your
Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was just an interesting little tidbit there.
That
So,
is very interesting.
Yeah.
That Rick Rose interview was one of the most interesting.
Yeah,
2
that
hours.
was great. I mean, and Dennis put that all together, so that was just a
Mhm.
fantastic thing. He was able to get him. We just had Dennis on
Well,
for.
That's one of the great things about your interviews, Jay, is that you're getting things on the record, and they'll
Yeah.
be
Now
on.
we get a chance to
Yeah,
talk
so
it's got
much,
about
forever.
so much stuff that you never we know where Monty
mean,
Hall
it's the
came
same-
from. We know
Yeah.
all sorts of things that we would have never known. So
I mean,
I mean,
Gygax
no-
slightly overlapped the era of YouTube. I mean, imagine if we had interviews with Gygax.
Yeah.
That would have been
I
amazing.
know.
Yeah.
Never.
It
I
was
met
like
him
now
once,
we
and that was it.
Yeah.
1982.
now we know how Aquaman is pronounced.
Yeah,
Aquaman. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. That's
Yep.
a good cut.
And Ouija. Yep. Mhm.
I've had Alan on. I've had Alan on the show a couple times, Michael. I've had
Yeah.
Alan Hammock on. Absolutely. So, what, as far as, it's hard to go back 25 years, I know, but are you guys 95 to 99% ecstatic and happy with the final publication? Correct? You guys think it's great?
You should be.
Yeah, I'm just
Should
saying.
be.
Without some things are missing that you put in later publications, but besides that, you guys are like, man, we did the best we could, and it's held up to time.
I find that hard to say because I always feel like drafts are published rather than my final version, but they often have to be yanked out of my cold dead hands. So yeah,
And confirmed.
I see flaws. I mean, I see I could have done this better. I could have added more here. Yeah. So yeah, there's always regrets.
I think we left nothing on the floor. I think for the people we were at the time we wrote that was the best with the time that we had to do it. That was the best that we were gonna do. I don't have the regrets that I have with it now are from 25 years of hindsight
Right.
and having done a
Yeah.
lot more books and going, maybe I would have done this differently, or kind of I do in a sense wish that there'd been a little bit more just like this was our original creation stuff in there as opposed to the putting all of the effort into tying together other people's ideas. But I'm not sure at the 25-year-old Eric's ideas would have been as good as, Carl Sargent's or Gary Gygax or whatever. So
Okay.
I'm proud of
I
it.
think
I think we
I
did a
think
Yeah.
very good job.
I
Mhm.
think one thing that did make it satisfying is that Eric gave me those opportunities to write about the Death Knights later, to write about the Silent Ones, to write about
Yeah, and
KOM.
that's true. We did having the journal around for 5 issues to be able to kind of continue to put stuff out, and then being
Do
in
Dungeon
Dragon
after
for a
that.
long time,
That
Dungeon, really had a lot of opportunity to kind of continue. And thinking about that, a lot of those articles, the Death Knight articles that Gary just mentioned, the Age of Worms in particular, those things contain a great deal of original characters,
Oh
and
yeah.
right.
you know, um, so we were able to contribute that stuff to Greyhawk in general. It just didn't all come in the Gazetteer, and that's fine. It didn't necessarily belong there.
So I'm trying to think if I've asked everything here. Mm. All right.
It's
Here's if you were to all of us, everyone here, start a brand new campaign, what year do you start it in? Like some of you I'm doing 598. I'm doing all throughout the Living Greyhawk era. I'm doing the beginning. I'm doing 576. I'm doing, where would you start now with all the data you have and all the information and all the publications you have?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell
I'm
you,
at 599. Oh, sorry.
yeah, but you're not restarting. You're
No,
continuing.
but
Yeah,
that goes against. I can't do that now. So now I'm here. I can't
you can't go back.
restart. No,
I can't
that's
either,
the
Anna.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't. But there's a
yeah.
caveat. So, Mike, you always restart, right? You always go back to
Damn.
576.
yeah.
He started multiple times. Yeah.
Reason being, the short of it is, I like to try again. If a certain Greyhawk War didn't turn out so good, start
Do over.
over. Let's
Damn.
play it back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There is
that's
No,
a certain kind of there's a certain kind of Greyhawk DM who likes to like rerun the same modules over and over again
yeah.
and have different permutations, I guess.
Jay, I can't say that you're stubborn. I'm way more stubborn than you are. So I'm so stuck in
mean,
my ways here. Yeah.
I got 45 years invested. I can't if I started over, then Robert Wardow's gonna have a longer campaign than me. I can't have that happen.
Oh no, I mean that doesn't count. I mean reboots are common.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
campaigns, but-
Yeah.
Eric, what are your thoughts on that? On the time?
Well, I can answer this question in a very practical way because I have recently started a new Greyhawk campaign.
Oh, okay,
I was
great.
making that decision.
Done.
Um,
nice.
and perhaps to prove my Gygaxian bona fides, I started it in 576.
Yeah.
But the reason was very specific, and that is that the point of the campaign that I'm running is to play some of those adventures that I just had never really played. I've read everything, but have I played everything? I haven't.
Right.
And so I have this dream one day that I will have a podcast where I talk about all of the original D&D modules, starting from the
Nice.
beginning, but I want to have more practical experience with those
Right.
as an adult. Yes, I played Palace of the Silver Princess when I was in third grade, and I have fond memories of that, and that would be fun fodder for a podcast discussion. But playing through the B series today with my friends is a completely different experience.
Sure.
So I'm playing right now. We just finished on Sunday the first level of Quasqueton in the In Search of the Unknown.
Right.
And so I have been playing. I've been working on a campaign that ties together B1, B2, and B3, and maybe even B4 and B5 and B6.
Wow.
And none of those were explicitly Greyhawk adventures per se, although I will point out that B1 specifically says
Yeah.
this can be set in Greyhawk, and one of the places that it says it can be set is in the Timberway Forest north of Raddick, and I thought that was a very interesting idea. There's all kinds of barbarians in that adventure, and I wanted to be curious where those barbarians would come from. And I think one of the other recommendations was to put it in like the Grand Duchy of Jeff or something. I'm like, ain't no barbarians there. Like that doesn't make sense. So then I put B1 up in the Timberway, and then I thought, well, you can't have B1 without B2, and then I thought, well, B3 was the first adventure I ever played, and I want to tie that in. But how do you tie Palace of the Silver Princess, which is such a weird kind of fairy tale style adventure that is not Greyhawk really at all?
Yeah.
How do you tie that in? And then of course now I'm back into my I quander the sage cannon saver kind of dude is like, how can I make this work? How can I put these pieces together? And if I'm gonna be playing into modules that were written in 1978, 1979, 1980, it only stands to reason that the backdrop should be this setting from that same period. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing 576. We're 14 days into the campaign in campaign
Nice.
time, and
Beautiful.
I'm keeping a
Nice.
calendar, and Jay, one of these days, 45 years from now, when I'm 95 years old, I hope to look back and say, I played all of the adventures, and you could listen to my episode 7,000 of my podcast talking about them. But for now, it's just a thing for friends, and I
That's
chose
it.
Hmm.
That's
yeah.
great.
Great.
So,
Yeah.
Eric, a couple right before my last hip surgery, I call them do-overs. I reran Belgian speaking, and I did it in 24-hour stream.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can go back. You can go back even in your
We're
time frame.
40 hours into Quasqueton, and we just got done with the first level.
Nice.
So not all adventures are equal. I think Palace of the Silver Princess is going to take a lot less time to play than, say, Keep on the Borderlands, for example.
What's
So
the
we'll see.
one with the three factions of gangs in it? That's B5.
Yeah, that's
Radu?
the Veiled Society.
That's a great
Mhm.
adventure.
Yeah, I'm
That's a great
incorporating
adventure.
that. I'm going to set that in the town of Marner, which is where all
Yeah, that's a
my
great
character,
adventure.
like the original conceit of the campaign is you all need to get out of Marner as fast as possible. What are you running from? And so they're all on the run from that town for one way reason or another, and they're trying to prove their value
Beautiful.
as adventurers to get rooms in the Keep on the Borderlands, and that's why they're in Quasqueton right now. And it's great, it's super fun,
And
super.
with the community growing the way it has, and all the brains we have here, I suggest, because I've done it, run more historical events. I ran the frickin' Hateful Wars last year, right? 3 adventures in a 24-hour stream, history, and look what it turned into. It turned into some stuff that even affected present day. That's what I would do. Someone should go back to frickin' the Rotting Tower and run stuff. That's what I would just historical scenarios are awesome and fun. That's an untapped area of Greyhawk I think we could all hop into, have a little fun with.
I'll get there when I'm done with the B series.
You got a long way to go to B. Because you go B series, your characters be like 5th level, maybe. You're going real slow on creep, level creep.
Yeah, I'm kind of just doing milestone
Okay.
leveling,
Yeah, it makes
so that
sense.
they're going to level up beginning of next session, so they're higher level when they go into the second dungeon.
Very cool. All right, so we have one more question. I think it was a kind of Big Mac said, why LGG got no mention on the WotC website when other products did? I didn't. Is that the case?
Hmm.
I don't know if that was the case.
I mean, let's take the question as if it is the case, because I find it very easy to believe. And now here we are. You're trying to wrap up the stream, and I can open an entire
We're
new
good.
chapter.
No, we're good. We can go over.
But Gary may recall, and I tried to protect you and Fred from a lot of this, but like the book was almost canceled numerous times. There were people with knives out for it at Wizards the whole time it existed. And I think it was partly because the people working very heavily on third edition sort of, I think, justifiably were like, why is the RPGA getting to do a campaign setting book and we don't even get to do our campaign setting book until next year with the Forgotten Realms? That's bullshit.
Oh.
Let's cancel that. I think there were people who looked at it and said, I mean, I remember I got called into Ryan Dancy's office, and Ryan was the head of D&D at the time, and he kept a dark office with a little lamp, just pool of light around him. It was almost like talking to the king of beggars and Greyhawk Beggars Union or something. And he
Voice
held the
interrogation.
drafts of the stuff, and he's like, I've been looking at your book, and this isn't a game book, this is literature. And I thought, what a compliment. No one's ever called anything I wrote literature. Thank you,
Yeah.
Very
Erik.
cool.
And
Very
I
cool.
think it was like everybody in like Pacific Northwest, people are like very non-confrontational. So I always felt like I was being pulled into these meetings where people were sort of expecting me to say, well, maybe we should just cancel it. And there's no way in hell I was going to do that. And so if they were going to cancel it, they had the power to do that. I got hauled in front of a tribunal of the entire design team for D&D, and they picked apart the manuscript while I was sitting in that with
Wow.
them. 5 years old. I
Damn.
got people like Monty Cook and Skip Williams and Jonathan Tweet, just kind of talking shit about the book right to my face. And they were nice about it, but they had problems with it. There weren't enough women leaders in it. They were
Oh
trying
my
to be
gosh.
more sort of
PC.
diverse, at that time, and actually I think that was a fair criticism, and so we went in and made some changes along those lines, and they also were like, they were really obsessed with like what the percentage of halflings and gnomes and stuff in each population were, because they wanted demi-humans to be a bigger deal in third edition. So it was a lot of like, they weren't getting into like, how dare you say that about third century Valuna history? They didn't give a shit about that. But that it was that just kind of like, it was Greyhawk. It wasn't third edition in the
Right.
same way that I think they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, there's numerous times where
Ah,
this canceled. And
Damn.
so, and again, I just to harken back to that original conversation that I mentioned earlier, where I was introducing myself to people on like the first day I worked there, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm working on the Greyhawk book," and to a person, every single one was like, "What Greyhawk book?" So Lisa had so much power at the company, she could get a book on the schedule that most of the staff didn't even know was on the schedule. And so that put me in a really weird and awkward spot, but I was working with Gary and Fred every night practically, and I needed them to continue to produce. So I couldn't be like, hey guys, you'll never guess whose office I got pulled into, you
Yeah.
know?
wow.
And
Yeah.
so, but that was incredibly nerve-wracking. And so, again, it was more of a product of the RPGA in some ways than a product of the RPG R&D team. And so, if indeed it is true, which I find it very easy to believe, that the book was not pushed on the website the same way that, Forge of Fury or Sword and Fist or some other sort of mainline book was, it was probably because it was not something that came out of the same, it came out of a parallel production
Right.
cycle, not, the main one. And we face that on the magazines a little bit too. The magazines have always been, off to the side. The Dragon office was different than the D&D office for the longest time. And so it was weird because to the customer it looks like it's all coming out of the same pipeline, but it wasn't necessarily. They're
Yeah.
they're they're parallel. And so I know that there were people who would have just been very happy to cancel a book. Lisa was not going to allow that to happen. And at the end of the day, the Living Greyhawk campaign was such an important part of their license, or of their marketing strategy for the new edition. And it was a hugely successful thing, by the way. It worked out great. Like tripled the size of the RPGA. People were loving it. And so they really couldn't kill it. What they could do was make it into what they wanted Greyhawk to be in the first place, which is where that other product called the D&D Gazetteer that came out at the same time came from.
I mean,
That
this
was
little thing.
an edited down version
Yeah.
of this book, and Skip kind of was heavily involved in that. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, that is what the R&D team from 1999 grudgingly wanted Greyhawk to be, was like a 20-page pamphlet of a handful of nouns and a map. And so they were able, the only reason this exists is because we sort of said, fine, if you want to edit it down to make it the thing you want, do that. But that little thing, I mean, I guess both products, in a sense, are the product of sheer ego. That little thing was the product of the ego of the game designers, and this was a product of the ego of me, basically. And Lee
Beautiful.
and the RPGA network, knowing that we needed a solid foundation to launch what was going to be the engine that popularized third edition D&D, which was the Living Greyhawk. Not exclusively, but certainly very, very, very fundamentally. And so yeah, was it pushed on the website the way that maybe you would want it to be or that you would expect it to be? I would be willing to say probably not, because there were people who would have just thrown it out the window entirely if they had their way.
Oh man.
And they were almost all 3 or 4 steps higher on the hierarchy ladder than little old me as an entry level polyhedron editor or whatever. It's a miracle that it got made.
Yeah. So, well, it's good to
Thank you so much for your
we're
persistence
thankful to the
yeah.
I was
series.
not going to take no for an answer. It
Oh,
doesn't.
that's good. Yeah.
So I was, especially then, I was even more feisty than I am now as a spitfire.
Was that in the way? I guess that was a good introduction. It was tough back then, but it taught you to push for projects and get things through.
Oh.
So I hope you had good use of that experience later on in
Yeah,
your career, so to
yeah,
speak.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just, more importantly, it's just like, as someone whose background is in magazines, it's like I'm on deadline. I've got to produce. It's like it doesn't even really matter. It's just like everything is just a challenge to get to the end of the month when we ship the thing, and then we start all over again. And I just I was
and also to get the timeline right, this when this product Living Greyhawk Gazetteer was made, that is several years before there was even an idea that Paizo was going to publish Dungeon. Exactly. We are like half a decade.
The idea that I
earlier.
might even be working on Dragon magazine at the time was ridiculous.
So just so people know that this comes long before that happened, so to speak. So
that's right. And it's just 25 years later, I think it is fairly highly regarded, by most people.
Definitely.
And I think that is, I give huge credit to Gary, and I give huge credit to Fred and to Sean. It was a team effort all the way through, and I think I assembled a team of people who were exactly the right people at the time to do this exact project, and it worked out.
Definitely.
Against all odds, it actually happened and came out, and even without proper pushing on the Wizards.
So now we don't need to have the best source modules and source books for Greyhawk, because I already spilled my beans.
Sure we do. We still need to do it.
We need to.
I think
we need to do it.
But maybe what we don't need is the comprehensive guide that for the first time ever pulls literally everything together in a cohesive whole. We've done that. So don't know that done again.
That's almost the Greyhawk tradition now. It's been done so many times over now. So
Last question from Patrick. Do you miss your long hair, Erik?
No, I can always get it back.
There you go, Patrick.
In the pandemic, no.
You asked that question. Oh, and by the way, congrats on Ron Lundeen jumping back to Paizo.
Well, thank you. We're thrilled.
I saw that. That's fantastic.
Yep.
What other shout outs do we have? Gary, you got anything to shout out?
Just that Visions 4 is coming out soon. I've been working on that, and I think I made an error that Erik would have probably warned me about, which is don't put yourself in the thing you're editing, because then you'll never finish. So I'm considering dropping my own article just to get this done. But very soon, guys.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Mike, what's up, man? Anything
no, just the usual stuff, my Pearland campaign, Rich's Radigus City campaign, and my usual weekly comics I just linked.
Let's see what we got here.
This one, I think everyone will familiarize with.
Saga Volcan, day number 15. That's We
Yes,
searched
he's
everywhere for
he's an
secret
everywhere.
doors. The empty spot on the map means nothing. Ha!
No. Yes, he's persistent.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's sad, but you do that as a player.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's must be a secret door because
Yeah.
The
the map
map
must
fits on a
fit
piece of
staying up by
paper.
11.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Part of the charm of the early era.
I think this
So-
is true.
Anna, you on Friday?
Yep. I'm on
Okay.
Friday, and that will be I'm putting together. I've rendered probably a bit over 1 million square miles, and I'm starting to put them together and do the re-editing. So probably a lot of Photoshop work, and that is at 50 feet per pixel. So we got a large part of the Greyhawk setting being rendered. It's not textured yet, but it's been rendered and it looks cool. So yeah.
Alrighty.
Yep. So I will be working on that on Friday. So yep.
And remember, Anna's got 3 games this time for Virtual GrowCon coming up.
Yes, I will have a low level skirmish game,
Sure.
a mid level scout recon, and a high level
Yep.
big bang battle, so to speak. So
Yep,
yep.
3 of them. So excellent. And Eric, what's going on, man?
The next big thing for me is October 16th through the 19th. I'm going to be at Gamehole Con in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, a lot of-
I'm gonna have a
Yes,
whole
and
section set up for Paizo and Pathfinder and Starfinder, and I'll be in
Yep.
there running games. But I also will be running a session of my Vecna Dies game that I did at GaryCon last
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
And that is 8 players. We're all playing members of the Circle of Eight. The night before they go to the gravesite of Halmadar the Cruel.
Oh,
And then we play the
cool.
actual encounter
Yep.
from the opening section of Vecna Lives, but we actually play by the rules. And I've done that now twice. And in the first session, the Circle of Eight defeated Vecna in 2 rounds. And in the second session, the Circle of Eight defeated Vecna in 3 rounds. I will say, Tensor died both times, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But playing by the rules, it's a very different encounter.
Yeah.
But it's not just that encounter. It's a night at the Green Dragon Inn with a surprise host who regales the Circle of Eight on their 10th anniversary with a fun time. There are special guests, including my favorite Greyhawk politician, who makes a nice showing there, hoofs and all, and
Ooh.
and so it's a good time. So if you I think there might still be openings if you want to play that, and you're going to be at Gamehole Con in October. We'll love to see you there.
And then in January, we have a marathon session where on Saturday, Friday. It's Friday. Eric's playing in mine, and I'm playing in that.
That's right, and that will be at the
Page.
Philadelphia Area Game
Yep.
Expo page.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I'll get to play in that
Very
game.
excited to attend for the first time in January.
Yeah, that's gonna be a blast. So
Yeah.
all right, this is what's up. Just remember, Saturday is going to be signups. We'll talk about that in one quick second. Give me, I want to hit the wrong button here. Some pictures for tomorrow night. This adventure we started a month and a half ago, and then all sorts of hell broke loose. So we got to finish this up. So just some scenery pics, for this one. As we're going to finish it up. We're ready to go on this one, and that is the Temple of Eternal Flame. It's an old D20 adventure. So we'll finish that up on tomorrow night. It says Gamescape 3D, but I may do, if I can, I may do a Printing Goes Ever On instead. We'll see for the sponsor giveaway. And then Saturday morning, it's going to be early. Nuclear Meat's back for Unhealthy Fixation. You'll understand that the minute the adventure starts. So, and that's the crew. Vamp is 50-50 on that, but I'll have a replacement if he is not available. So we got, who's supposed to tell me tonight? That's the group. All right. Let's do the giveaway. You get your choice of 2. Here, I'll throw these. So Border Watch and Adventure Begins and the new World of Greyhawk Gazetteer and Treasures. Take your pick of 2 of those. If you have all 4 of them, I'll get you something else.
Gary
by the way-
signed LGG.
What's that?
Signed.
Yeah,
Gary
no.
Holian signed LGG. No.
I don't have a
Ooh.
signed. Yeah, mine's not signed because I can't afford to take anything with me. Because the more shit I take with me to a con, like a Gary Con, the more stuff I gotta haul home, right?
You take a lot of stuff too, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Now Paige, I'm gonna be driving to. Maybe I'll fill my truck with Paige, my SUV.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'll bring some stuff for people to sign there. But yeah, all right, let me do the giveaway, and then we're raiding into Bones because it's her birthday.
Whoa! Happy birthday, Bones!
Birthday
Yeah.
stream going on
Mhm.
for Bones right now. Last call exclamation point drawing. Yeah.
By the way, guys, go Colts, go 49ers, go Vikings. That's all.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
It's I will not be streaming next
All
Thursday. A week
three
from
of which-
Thursday. I'll be watching
All
the
three of
Eagles
which could be
destroy the
represented
Cowboys.
in DZ.
So yeah, the defending Super Bowl champs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Gotta watch those Eagles.
Yes, it's it.
I can't root for the Cowboys, but after that, well,
Stefan Strategy, grats, man. Let me know. Let me know which two of those you want, and I will send them right out. So, all right, Erik, Gary, thanks. That was fun.
Of
That was
course.
fun.
Thank
We'll see you in
you.
25
Thanks,
years.
guys.
I'll
Mhm.
see you. No, I'll see you for Ask the Experts for Virtual GrowCon, right? That's Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Right.
The
Yeah.
5th, yes, October.
I for sure committed to that in a way that I remember.
October.
Yes, I'll be there.
It's on your Google
Sunday,
Calendar.
October 5th
It's
at
two
7
two
o'clock.
weeks before
Sunday, October 5th. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, it's on
Sunday,
my
October 5th.
Okay.
I was going to do the top. We were going to vote on the top, but maybe we won't do that. We'll see.
module. We'll see.
Top,
Yeah.
the top, not the top published source setting books and stuff.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk source books one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we'll mix it in. We'll mix that in definitely.
Nice.
All right, we'll see you all soon. Thanks a lot. Wrong button coming. See you
Yep.
tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, 7:30 tomorrow night. Boom. Yeah, I wish I was going to game. Well, next year, I'm almost recovered from the second hip replacement.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
A lot more
use
cons
Game
next
Hall.
year.
Yep.
Yeah, finally. But I need
Yeah.
Go
Erik, I have a seminar hour at Game Hall if you want in. That.
Oh,
Yeah, if you want to, I have a seminar hour there. So yeah.
what is the panel or what's the seminar about?
Fantasy cartography, but we can talk about anything. Meaning, if you want to have a
Let me look at my schedule and I'll reach
Yeah.
out to you.
That's awesome.
Yep,
5,
yep.
4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night. Cool. 90 going in. That's great.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's do this. Awesome. Alrighty. I am good. Let's close this out. Turn this off, and we're good. Thanks a lot. Great show. That was
All
fun.
right.